What is going on, everybody? Welcome to Crunch Time with Jeff, Booner, Lukas, and Gentry. It is Friday, May 17th, and we got a packed show today. A lot of stuff's transpired. I mean, we got Scottie Scheffler getting arrested. I know that's more Gentry and Booner's forte, but hey.
I mean, can we get a little bit of energy out of you today on this beautiful Friday, huh?
Dude,
it's Friday, May 17th.
It is.
A little energy. Can I get like a...
You know what? You're right. You know what? I got it locked in. You're right.
Come on,
Today
brother.
we are going through our top 5 NFC teams. I can't wait. We each have a graphic made for all of us, and I haven't looked at everybody's, so I'm curious what kind of debates we get into here. That'll be fun. We're going to do that in the next it'll be in the first hour, so probably towards the second hour, still in the first hour. Also, Hendon Hooker, Tim Twentyman wrote about potentially using him in goal line packages. Maybe a little Taysom Hill, Jameis Winston action. I don't know. We'll give our thoughts on that. But before we get started into everything, also College Football 25. Saw the trailer for that too. Looks good.
That'll be something.
That looks unbelievable. I cannot wait. A lot of Michigan too in that. If you guys didn't realize that.
Wild.
What'd you say, Lucas?
Donovan Edwards on the cover is absolutely wild.
I mean, that's sorry, won a national championship. I don't know what else.
Dude didn't even have 500 yards last year.
Won a national championship. What else do you want to say?
Samaj Morgan, throw him on the cover.
Won a national championship. Put him
on. Put him on.
Do it. Won a national championship. What is whoever you're talking about done besides lose to Michigan? Huh?
I would. There was multiple quarterbacks that should be on that fucking cover.
No,
Donovan Edwards.
No, the Don.
The Don.
Come on, man.
Yeah.
One game a year.
I do want to say what up to the people that were here at the very beginning. Give some love. Anakin Skywalker was here at the very start. ATN. What up, Gentry? What up, my guy?
Yo.
Gentry.
Want to give a shout out as well to Steve Lehman. We got him in the chat. Appreciate you, John Hughes. And Coach Walk's here. And Shift God, we appreciate all you guys, man. Seriously, we got a packed show. We're excited. It's Friday. So let's get this thing started. We kind of mentioned it. I mentioned it a little before you joined, though, Gentry. We got College Football 25 coming out in the summer. I'm excited for it. We also have Scottie Scheffler getting arrested.
Wild.
What's going on with that? Why did Scottie Scheffler get arrested? Could you or Booner put this into, translate it for me? What the hell?
I woke up this morning and I was driving and I totally seen all that news, but I guess he just went through a traffic stop. Obviously there was a crime scene or someone got hit by some sort of car, and Scottie tried to drive through that. Obviously he wasn't allowed to do that, so got arrested, but he made his tee time and he shot 5 under, so as long as he golfs good, I don't think he cared.
Wait.
I mean, dude, the situation.
Bro still made his tee time?
He did. He got let out of jail.
Released from jail 2 hours later or whatnot. And then
or something.
Well, the whole situation, he has a felony charge against him right now for not hitting a police officer,
but
it
was
some contact with the police officer. All that happened with the crazy thing is I woke up, fellas. You don't see it a lot of just people just randomly getting arrested. They had a mug shot of him within 20 minutes of him getting arrested. It was one of the more wild things you've ever seen. I woke up and all I saw was mugshots of Scottie Scheffler, the best golfer in the world. It's it'd be like LeBron James essentially of the NBA. He's the LeBron of golf right now. If you just woke up and there's just mugshots, what's going on? And he just got arrested. And the crazy part of it, Gentry, I don't even know if you saw it, he was I didn't even know what was going on. A police officer tried to stop him. They told the players you can drive through because there was a crash and the players are allowed to drive through. So someone told him go ahead. And then the other cop ahead was who is this? What are you doing? And grabbed onto his car and got pulled by his car and had to go to the hospital. But and then he had no clue that there was a cop on his car. So he stopped and they pulled him out of the car, put him in handcuffs. And it just so happened that there was an ESPN reporter that was going into the club at the same time.
I seen that.
If that didn't happen, who knows if we would have known for hours. But the ESPN reporter just happened to be there, took a video of it happening, and it just went public. It was just if you're the police station and you're covering an event, because this isn't a normal, this is a major. This is one of the best 4 events of the year. Like, if you're a police officer and you're working that event, yeah, you like have to know some of these players, because if you just like pull a guy out of his car because you think that he's just driving through, but he's actually told to go through, and it's not like it was like the 200th player on in the tournament. It was the best player in the entire world for the last like 4 years. Like it was like the LeBron James of the PGA Tour pulling up and then ripped. Like, at one point, is someone going to be like, hey, boys, I think we just arrested the best player for no reason here. Like, I think we just arrested someone we shouldn't have. And they took him in, and they mugshot, they charged him with a felony, which is the craziest thing.
Yeah. And I mean, my heart goes out to the family of whoever got in the accident today, but that was just a crazy scenario. Like, when I first woke up, I like immediately thought the worst. I thought Scottie hit the person too. That got in the accident. I didn't know it was a shuttle at first. There was so much news coming through, but I mean, insane. And honestly, like, it's an overall terrible situation, but I feel like partially, like Booner said, I don't really know. I don't think anyone was allowed to drive through that. I think Scottie was like the first of the bunch, and that's why this situation escalated. But if that was true, then like, I think it's kind of on the police at that point. There's got to be some sort of communication. You know that all these people are coming at this sort of time. I mean, to not know that, you know, the people are going to be flooding through there or have some sort of, you know, I know it's a terrible situation, but Jesus, man.
The whole thing was just wild. And the fact that he ended up playing was even crazier. Yeah. And he shot like he's like top 5 now. He like shot.
You would just think that like how many people are attending that event, that it would be communicated that the professional golfers are probably going to be coming through here soon or something like that when they're closing down the road. But I mean, like I said, horrible situation.
Where is
the family?
What city was this in? Is this Louisville?
Louisville. Yeah, Louisville. The craziest thing too, I want to throw this out, like, and I know there's so much to the story. It's like an onion. You could just keep peeling it back. The craziest thing about this is the entrance. Like, imagine like you have to, like, you're in a 4-lane like road, and like the entrance is like just right up to your left, and you have to get into the left turn lane. He was stuck. They said literally 2 cars behind the entrance, and one of the cars in front of him, it was like a bus. And the driver of the bus just left the bus. So like the traffic wasn't moving. So he moved to pass them. And he literally just, like, no one else in there besides the players can turn into this entrance. And he just had 2 cars in front of him, and he pulled out of those 2 cars and passed them just to go into that entrance. Like, it wasn't like he like was recklessly like boom down the road past everyone. I need to get to the entrance. It was like 2 cars in front of him, the whole road was stopped, and they told the players, hey, you guys can just pull through if you need to. And he did that, and they, like, it's crazy. Yeah. It's one of the wild stories.
John, this is kind of what I was talking about. Like, if this was communicated somewhat better, that all these people were going to be flowing through, and obviously it's an incident like that, you don't plan for something like that to happen last second, but like, they should have had some sort of problem solving, knowing that thousands and thousands of people are going to be attending this event early. Then they should have had another route for that, or been able to reroute them, even though it was that at that time. And I didn't know this too, that he was in a marked car, if that was true.
He was. So they all have marked cars. He was in a marked car. The thing is too, Gentry, they told the players, you guys can go outside and like pass traffic if needed, because they knew that accident happened early in the morning. So they communicated with the players. So that was essentially what he was doing. I saw, like, they said some players did it earlier in the week or earlier in the day, drove through and nothing happened to it. And then I just started seeing, after that happened to Scottie, players just got out of their car and they just started walking to the entrance. They were like, we're not doing this. I'm not getting arrested here. I'll walk. Oh no, Jeff, muted, brother.
I don't know the full story. Okay, that's why I go to you guys on this. I did read, I thought this was comical, that in his jail cell he was stretching. So like, he was so locked in, even after getting arrested and he got released, he was so locked in. And you said he went and played well right after that?
Yeah, he shot like 5 under or something.
Absolute animal. So yeah, it's a bunch of nothing. I mean, it's people freaking out on the cop, which again, like, whether it's ridiculous or not, it's a whole nother thing. Obviously, I don't know all the details there, but yeah, I saw that today, and it's been trending all over social media. And I see, and I saw a statement he had after he got released, and he sounded really professional about it. Like, he probably could have been.
I mean, dude,
he's way more of he probably could have been way worse.
No, Scottie Scheffler too. If people know, like he's like one of the best dudes in all of sports. Like he's like one of the nicest guys ever. So
yeah, super well spoken too. So I'm not surprised. I did see the press conference too, and obviously he said he can't really address what happened, but he said it was all a big misunderstanding and whatnot. So I mean, he made his way out there, and he started cooking. Boone, did you watch any of that today? Did you watch him golf?
A little bit. I watched the beginning, like when he got back. I didn't watch him just go absolutely nuts though. But I was following a little bit. I like Scottie. Scotty's a dog, dude. He's gonna end up being like the next, like I don't want to say Tiger because Tiger's the greatest ever, but like the closest thing we probably will ever have to Tiger again in our lifetime. That's how good I think he is.
Isn't this a step? I mean, you got to have a mugshot at some point, and then it's like the progress. Not saying it's I approve of getting mugshots, but for whatever reason. He joins other company.
John Daly, Tiger.
Those other guys had mugshots for way worse reasons, but I get it. I get the connection. You're making.
Okay. See, I was seeing if I can land that. Maybe it didn't, but hey.
You landed it. There you go. There you go, brother.
There you go.
Yeah, I did watch this. I was watching like the first couple holes. Like he like got escorted or whatever. Obviously, he got driven to the golf course and he got dropped off, and they had a whole thing of him getting out of the car and going to get warmed up. And then he birdied the first hole and everyone went fucking crazy. Man, the dude is insane. So good.
Really, I do want to pivot here because I thought this was very interesting, guys. And I saw this. This isn't like today, but it's something that I saw a couple of days ago. Tim Twentyman, who does a great job, writes for the Detroit Lions, and he is the man. You know who Tim Twentyman is if you're a Lions fan. And he had an article, basically just kind of talking about who stood out at rookie camp, and he was doing like a Q&A section of that article of fans that ask him questions. And one of the questions was referring to how Ben Johnson could potentially use Hendon Hooker this year because he's a bright offensive mind. And is there any way that potentially Hendon Hooker could be implemented into the offense a little bit? Because I know we get a lot of those questions, and it's something I do think about. And I think we pretty much said like, we'll see. But Tim Twentyman weighed in on it, and I do respect his opinion. And he did make some pretty good points here. So I'll read his quote, and then I want your guys' thoughts on this. So this is Tim Twentyman, directly from his article on DetroitLions.com. So he writes, to answer that question, Jared Goff is the starter for the foreseeable future after reportedly inking a 4-year extension this week. Where does that leave Hendon Hooker? Nothing changes for him. He's now healthy and will get a full workload competing to be Goff's backup. The Lions drafted Hooker in the 3rd round last season, knowing his rookie year was going to be a redshirt season with him coming off an ACL tear. He got his feet wet in practice late in the year, and the Lions like his development path. Hooker offers something a little different because of his athleticism and ability to use his legs to make plays. And this is where it gets interesting. He says, I can certainly see some goal line or short yardage packages designed for Hooker to put some added stress on the defense with his ability to run the football. It will be fun to see him play in camp and in the preseason.
Wow.
So
interesting comment.
Yeah, which we all are just curious to see him play the preseason. Sure. But to hear him say that, and he's keyed in. Not that he has Ben Johnson's playbook, but when you hear someone like that, that's pretty reputable say it. I started to think, and I'm like, you know what? There are teams that have tried to use that type of philosophy. I mean, the most recent example, I guess you'd go right to the Saints with Jameis Winston and Taysom Hill and how they use Taysom Hill. Now, I don't think it's going to be on that level to where Hendon's on. They were pretty much, in every other snap. At that, it was getting to a point where it was like every other snap, and then there'd be times where Taysom would throw the ball, Taysom would run. Jared Goff's starting, and he's going to play 80.
I mean, he's a franchise quarterback.
95% of the game. Yeah, it's not going to be the same. But
just had to put that in there, Boone.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. But what if there's maybe a 4th and 1, maybe a 4th and goal, 3rd and goal? Part of me is like, you know what? Maybe that is something to think about, fellas. But at the same time, that's why you have David Montgomery, and that's why you have Jahmyr Gibbs. But for like a quarterback sneak, I wouldn't hate it, and I don't think it's out of the realm of possibilities, guys. I don't.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't hate a goal line situation, but like you said, I mean, the Lions were really good in the red zone last year. Jared Goff was very good in the red zone. David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs was very good down the stretch of the season. He might have struggled early in the red zone, but he was very great to end the year. He's very great in playoffs, getting in the end zone. So if it's like every now and then, I wouldn't hate it. Or like you said, QB sneak, just, I mean, so you don't put Jared in there. I wouldn't hate it, but I don't want to see it consistently. I want to see it every now and then, maybe to like switch things up, because they've already been so great in the red zone. And if it's not broke, don't fix it. In my opinion, you can throw it in there every now and then, but you want to stick to what's working, and what they've been doing has been working. So I don't like the whole idea of, if you're going to go do that consistently every time you get in the red zone or every other time or whatnot. I would just rather keep Goff in there, and the both running backs have been doing very well. Sam Laporta has been a dog in the red zone. So, I mean, it is what it is if they do it. I'm sure Ben Johnson will come up with the most creative ways to use Hendon Hooker too. So, like, that wouldn't worry me one bit, but like, they've been doing so great. So it is what it is.
Yeah, I mean, I would like to see, to be honest, I would like to see what Hendon can do in the preseason to kind of implement, see what you want can implement. Because like Hooker, I'm trying to think of like I guess there's the side of things to where you can put him into some packages, because he does have a really good arm, to where typically when you throw guys in there, it's more so just, hey, we're going to run, it's like a wildcat type of offense. Like, no, like Hooker's going to be able to go in there and make plays. I don't think they're going to sit there. Like, you would rather have Jared Goff in there no matter what, to like, that's your quarterback you trust to do that. And then at the same time, like, you throw Hendon Hooker in there, I think maybe situational, maybe in the red zone, maybe at the goal line when it's like, a push. I don't know. But then at that point, you still have the side, and no one really thinks about this, to where that is your backup quarterback. And if you're doing situational football with him and he ends up getting hurt just because you want to do tush pushes with him, when you still have David Montgomery and you have guys that can run the ball, or Jahmyr Gibbs who can punch it in, and you have the offensive line you have, and then you lose your backup. And do you see what I'm saying, boys? Like that, there's that. Yeah. There's that kind of give and go with that, and it's like, do you trust to kind of put that on the line just to be able to have him get in there and do a couple? I get what Tim 20 minutes saying. Like, yeah, there's situationals, potentially that things that Jared Goff can't do that Hendon Hooker may be able to do, more mobility and things like that, and he's bigger, so he's able to kind of maybe do a tush push. But to me, it's just more so like, let's put it all into account here. He is your backup quarterback, and if there's a game or two where Jared goes down and you need someone and you don't have Hendon Hooker there because you wanted to do a couple tush pushes with them, at this point, dude, you have the best offensive line in the NFL. You shouldn't have to be doing tush pushes with that online. You shouldn't.
Montgomery, man.
Like you should be able to just give the ball to some of those guys, and they can punch it in at the end of the day. So I'm not going to sit here and say I want Hendon Hooker to be in situational footballs. Now, can Ben Johnson figure out a way to use them? For sure. Like, I'm sure there's going to be at some point next year, whether it's like, 3 or 4 plays maybe throughout the whole season, to where you may see Hendon Hooker just based off of a package that they have and they want to do something situational, throw the defense off real quick, like out of nowhere in a big game, throwing Hendon Hooker out there, and they're like, oh, we don't know what to do. Like, put them on their heels. But I don't think it's, I don't know. That's, yeah. I want to see the preseason to gauge that first too.
It would be the Hooker tush push. That's what we'd call it. All right, the Hooker tush push, and I don't think they'd use it because a couple of reasons. One, you brought up a great point about the health of the backup quarterback, which yeah, but again, for a guy who's coming off an ACL tear and he gets healthy in his first season, I guess fully healthy, you're going to use him in like the most aggressive way possible. There's that, but also the other thing is just for opposing defenses. If I'm a defensive player and I see Hooker come in and you're on the goal line, we know what time it is. But if you have Goff, you're not expecting it. I think there's that too. Like, I think Goff, he's 6'4". Like, you can, if you really want to do a push, not that they would do it. I think Goff could execute it because he's tall. But also, if they have Goff, you wouldn't expect it. Like Hooker, if he comes out, Goff goes out. Hooker.
Didn't they line up with the tush push last year at some point?
Yeah. But like the thing is though, with the whole tush push thing, if Hooker comes out, you know what's going on. Now, can you stop it? It's probably a whole nother thing. But I don't know if they would use it. Maybe, like to your point, Booner, maybe once, twice, maybe they sneak something in. But I do not think, in my mind, it'll be something that is in the playbook to where it's like every other game. It's like, all right, throw Hooker out there. Let's just rack up rushing touchdowns.
There is a thing though. If it's not the goal line or whatever it is, shout out Booner's Pooner. Let's go. If it's outside the goal line, there is a side though, Jeff. Like when you're sitting there, yeah, you might think it's a run from him. Hendon Hooker has an arm, so they might have a trick play to where Hendon Hooker's throwing the ball. I wouldn't be shocked on that. Like he probably has a better arm than he is mobility wise. If you watch him in college, in my opinion, at least. That's just me though.
Yeah, like, and to be honest, and it's also tough because it's like, well, Goff, you just paid.
Yeah. A lot of
money too. So it's like, do you want
Goff's
him
the guy, franchise guy.
That's why it's like, do you want him doing a tush push? Probably not. So I don't know.
He's a franchise player.
Yeah, and listen, I thought it was interesting. I see, even Art's comment here. Goff had a rushing TD versus the Falcons last year. I guess if everything comes down to it, he could. I guess How
many? I think the year before he had 0 too. Like he just that's not his game.
No,
you have guys that can do it.
But when you have a quarterback who had like a 50-40 to 1 TD interception ratio in the red zone, like since 2022, it's like, do you really want to do his money in the red zone? So you throw in the football.
They punch the ball in every time. It feels like you have that offensive line. That's why it is a little shocking that I guess the tush push works so much for Philly, but they have such a good offensive line too. Which is give the ball to your running back. He's going to score at the end of the day.
I mean,
what are we doing?
Monty, man, getting on Boley yards. Try to tell you guys. You don't need the tush push. You got Monty.
Super Sign Line says the tush push will never work again. First, the only reason the tush push worked in Philly because Jason Kelce was a short center who had amazing low center of gravity. I mean, he is like teams could try it. The hit rate won't be as high as the Eagles, given they don't have Jason Kelce and they don't have Jalen Hurts, who, like Super Sign also said, he squats like 600 pounds. So. Yeah. That matters too.
Fair point.
Yeah, and then the Bo Booth Eagles won't use the tush push effectively this year. And I know the NFL didn't make any changes to it. They don't have Jason Kelce anymore. I wonder if it's still in there. And they have a new OC, but I wonder if it's something that they.
I'm sure they will. I'm sure. I think they have like Cam Jurgens. I'm sure they're going to do a tush push. I don't see that going away ever.
Yeah, Yeah, you're probably right about that. I do want to get to our top NFC teams because I'm curious to see where you guys have the Lions in the chat. Feel free to chime in with this. Top 5 NFC teams going into this season, given where they're at now, how the offseason went, so on and so forth, draft and everything. So we're gonna start. We'll do yours, Booner. We'll start with yours.
I'm leading this off.
Is that okay? You want to lead it off? I have yours first loaded up. So
let me hit it.
All right. Oh, whoa. Okay. All right. Let's put up Booner's list, and then he can break it down for us. All right, Booner. Top 5 teams. What are we thinking?
What a beautiful list, huh, boys?
I mean, yeah.
Beautiful list. All right.
But I'm
gonna go right to left here. I'll start with my 5th team. I had 5th in the NFC. I had the Los Angeles Rams. You could sit there and you can argue maybe the Cowboys. What was the other team that I was thinking of? I can't even remember right now because the NFC isn't extremely strong. So, maybe you could throw the Cowboys in there. But I just think the Rams, what they did last year in the playoffs and kind of what they showed, if they're healthy, especially the offense, that health is a scare. We saw it in Detroit in the playoffs last year. That's a scary, scary football team. And that defense is slowly getting built back up there through the draft. So I think the Rams are going to make the playoffs this year. I think they're going to be one of the wild card teams. Move over one more. The Green Bay Packers at number 4. I hated to do that. I didn't want to do it. You could probably maybe argue, the Cowboys, whatever. The Cowboys aren't in the top 5. The Green Bay Packers absolutely embarrassed the Dallas Cowboys in the playoffs last year. Jordan Love embarrassed them. Aaron Jones, I know they don't have Aaron Jones anymore, but he embarrassed the Cowboys. That was on the road for them in Jerry's world. I will no longer be supporting the Cowboys or putting them in any of my top 5s, anything like that, until they prove that they can win football games and they can win big games. I'm tired of seeing them and talking about them, and then they just keep choking and choking. So I have the Packers at 4. I think the Packers are going to be really good too, guys. I actually heard some people say that they think they're going to regress. I think the Packers are going to end up having like a 10-11 win season this year, and they're going to end up getting one of the top, probably the top wild card spot, and end up making some noise in the playoffs again. Number 3, the Eagles, boys. I almost wanted to put the Eagles over the 49ers. I was this close this close to doing it. And it's the only reason is the 49ers might have a better roster. I just think the Eagles this year are going to be that good. I think they're going to end up getting the 2 seed. I really do. I think they're going to have a bounce back year with Kellen Moore as an OC. He's going to get that offense just absolutely buzzing again. Even though I'm not high on Jalen Hurts, I just think that that offense is going to be buzzing. I think the defense is going to start bouncing back a little bit. You added good things good over there, boys.
No, I said hell yeah.
Klotzy, Wi-Fi.
Can you guys see and hear me fine?
Yeah, brother, you're laughing every time.
No way. Like this is like terrible on my end. Like you guys are frozen. It sounds like I'm talking through or listening through a walkie-talkie right now. It's terrible. I was just laughing at you saying buzzing, Booner. I was like, what the fuck? I've never heard that term talking about in football. Offense is going to be buzzing. Hey, you do you though, Boone. You're cooking.
Team's going to be buzzing. The Philadelphia Eagles are going to be buzzing. The defense, they added some pieces in the secondary. They needed to booster up the secondary. Guess what they did? They got pieces. So I like the Eagles team. I hate to say it, but I like the Eagles team. Number 2, this is surprising to some people here because we did our full NFL power rankings a couple weeks ago post draft, and guess what? I had the Detroit Lions behind the San Francisco 49ers. Something happened today though, fellas. I started thinking about it. The Detroit Lions have the best team in the NFC right now. Like let's call a spade of spades here. Let's call it what it is. The Detroit Lions had the 49ers in San Francisco, a 17-point lead. Their heels all the way back against the wall. They didn't know what to do. If the Lions had any sort of defense and could get any stop at all, they're going to the Super Bowl and winning the Super Bowl. The Detroit Lions, if we're calling it what it is, they have a better football team. They're a better run organization right now. They have better coaching staffs. The culture, in my opinion, the defense, everything's starting to turn for the Detroit Lions over. Maybe not the defense. We but you know what I'm saying? I'm just saying. I just think like this team all around. When you take if you had to grade every single thing within an organization right now, I think the Detroit Lions are starting to pass up this 49ers organization. Maybe the longevity of the 49ers, they can't win a Super Bowl. They can't get that hump. Lions are starting to close in on them. I think right now, the Detroit Lions, fellas, the Booner path, everything is aligned. And I think this is the best team in the NFC. The best team in the NFC. And you guys will see odds later on. You guys are going to see different things to where I'm not the only one that feels so, but the whole country thinks so. The whole world thinks so. And everyone around the NFL thinks the Detroit Lions are currently the best team in the NFC right now.
So how we're going to do this, great job, Booner. You crushed it. How we're going to do this is we're each going to show our list, and then anybody that has a problem, disagreement, or anything, we'll discuss it rather than just going through every single list. It'll take us like 15 minutes. So
yeah,
I'll go first. The one thing I do disagree with Boone is I think the Rams are better than the Packers. Okay,
that's small.
Yes, I would take the Rams over the Packers because of a couple different reasons. One, I trust Sean McVay more than I do Matt LaFleur. I also think Stafford is a better quarterback right now than Jordan Love, and I think defensively the Rams are underrated. Even though the Packers do got some pieces, but I think the Rams they added more this offseason, and they had some young guys last year that played really well. And I think the Rams, man, I'm not going to lie to you. I think that NFC West is going to be close with those two teams. I think the Rams will win, 10, 11 games. Maybe the 49ers win 12, 13. I don't think it's going to be that far off. That's how I feel about it. I don't mind. You're high on the Eagles. I think we're all pretty high on the Eagles, but the Rams, I think, should be 4th. That's my critique.
Fair. I think that's fair.
There's no way that the Rams are better than the Packers.
It's
Matthew Stafford stays come on now.
We are forgetting that the best player in Los Angeles Rams history, arguably the best player and defensive player in NFL history, is leaving, and they're replacing him with 2 rookies. And I'm not saying the Rams are going to be bad, but when you look at what the Rams lost compared to what the Packers lost, I just think the Rams, especially defensively, then losing Raheem Morris as well, they're going to be rusty, I think, on the defensive side of the ball with all this young talent. I think they'll be a good team. But when you compare to the Packers, I think
let me ask you that,
especially with Edgerrin Cooper, and then you add in Javon Bullard and Xavier McKinney, and then you have Eric Stokes, Jael Alexander. Xavier McKinney is not a rookie. Xavier McKinney's there.
No, I
and
said
then
the first
defensive coordinator just got better. I can't think of the defensive coordinator they had last year, but was absolutely atrocious. And then the offense is fully loaded.
Let me ask you this, Lucas. Besides Jordan Love on offense, give me somebody I should be fearful of.
If you look at that wide receiver core, I think that wide receiver core, the depth is up there with like having a wide receiver 1 and 2 tandem, because they have 4 or 5 guys that can absolutely kill you. Josh Jacobs, no, I don't think he's a top 5 back in this league, but Josh Jacobs is definitely a running back that you have to pay attention to. And then even Musgrave got loose for him. I think this is not a, like, they don't have a Cooper Kupp or a Puka Nacua, but there's not one guy you can just zone in on and then be like, all right, we stopped him. Like, if you want to stop Christian Watson, okay, here's Jaden Reed. You want to stop Jaden Reed? Okay, here's Romeo Dobbs. If you want to stop then, okay, there's Josh Jacobs.
So at that, should we talk about the Rams wide receiver core?
Yeah,
I get that, but I'm saying when you look at the Rams defense compared to the Packers defense, I think there's a difference there. I mean, I think you
could like the Packers. I have them over the Rams. I think it could be interchangeable. I don't think it's crazy to say, hey, I think the Rams are over the Packers. I don't think either one is like clearly head over heels better than the other right now. And they're both going to be in the playoffs next year. They're both just like playoff teams. Like, they're both not, in my opinion, you're not going to sit here and argue, oh, they're both going to go win a Super Bowl. Like, I'm not going to put my life on either of them, but I would say, hey, these are both playoff teams who can win. Like, they both did it last year, can win games in the playoffs. So, like, I think they're pretty much on the same level, to where that's just more so like, we can argue it, but it's like a personal preference at this point. Like, who would you rather like that? I don't know. I just think those two teams are like that close. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Like, right there.
What about you, Gentry? Because I have a rebuttal, but I want your thoughts on the Rams Packers thing.
I was going to do it when I explained my list, but no, I said if Matthew Stafford stays healthy, I think the LA Rams will be better than them. I mean, I think the Rams defense, like Lucas pointed out, may regress a little bit because of Aaron Donald, but I think as the season goes on, they will continue to figure it out. They have a lot of young players on that team, but they're talented as well. And I just think that offense on the Rams, if Stafford stays healthy, you get Puka Nacua, you get a full season of Cooper Kupp healthy, you get Kyron Williams with Blake Corum. They got a lot of weapons on that team, and that's going to be one of the best offenses in the league. Not saying that the Packers offense isn't going to be great, because they have a lot of young guys, a lot of young wide receivers. They got Josh Jacobs now, and I think Jordan Love's only going to continue to get better. But I think, like Booner said, these two are kind of like 4 and 5. I think they're interchangeable. I think they both have some question marks on the defense, but they both have really good offenses, and I think the Packers offense is only going to continue to get better.
Yeah, the thing, and I'm not, if you want to go with the Packers, fine. I just think offensively, the Rams are better at wide receiver, running back, quarterback. Both, not just wide receiver, but wide receiver 1 and 2, they're better. And that's where I'm like, okay, offense, I would give the Rams. Defense, I think it's a toss. I don't think it's like the Packers are going to have a significantly better defense. So I guess like at that point, I'm leaning Rams because I trust, again, Sean McVay over Matt LaFleur too. I'm taking coach into consideration. So, you know, I don't hate it though. I'm going to get more into it with my list, but Booner, the other thing I wanted to ask you too is the Lions over the 49ers. I do respect it. You're going out. You're saying it's for this year. And you kind of explained it. And I don't want to give mine away or anything like that. But what to you is it the offseason the Lions had? Is that what it is to you?
I mean, the biggest thing to me, especially like when you watch their game last year, is like they couldn't get like down the stretch in the second half. What couldn't they do? They couldn't get stops. They couldn't stop, Brock Purdy. And we talked about this today in some group chats. Like, Brock Purdy did go out there and not dominate, but he made the plays to kind of go out there and win the game. And that was kind of the turning point of the whole game. Yeah, you could say the 2 drops, the fumble like that, obviously. But the biggest kind of thing to me was the defense. And you had Kendall Vildor out there guarding Brandon Ayuk. Like, what do we do? Like, that's the worst matchup you're ever going to get. Now you just boosted up that secondary. You added Carlton Davis. You went and got a Terrion Arnold. Ennis Rakestraw, who could potentially make an impact. You're going to have new guys on this team. You added DJ Reader. You went and got some new edges. As much as you guys might not like them, you got a new edge room essentially too. So like that defense got completely revamped. And to me, that was the only difference for me really from the 49ers to the Lions. Like, I felt like the Lions offensively stay with the 49ers easily. Like, they've been top 5 the last 2 years, and statistically they've had a better offense than the 49ers. Yeah, the 49ers have a lot of names, but guess what? The Detroit Lions do too. And that was like that kind of conversation with Jared Goff to the media that gets brought up all the time, where he's like, hey, you guys keep asking me about these 49ers guys, Debo and them. Guess what? We have Amon-Ra St. Brown, and we have Sam Laporta, and we have Jahmyr Gibbs, and we have David Montgomery. We have weapons just like they do. So, like, stop asking me those questions. So I think that's like the offensive side. All right, done. Like, I think the Lions, you could make an argument, especially with the offensive line and the 2 running backs they have. You could almost, to me, make an argument the Lions offense you would rather take over the 49ers. Like, I you can make that argument, and I could say I think so going into this year. Now, the defensive side to me is, did the Lions upgrade defensively? They don't need to have a better defense than the 49ers because the 49ers have some dudes on that defense, but you needed to upgrade from what you had last year. Because we talk about it all the time. If the Lions just add a top 12 defense, they're right there, and they're going to win a Super Bowl. That's all they needed to do. And I think Brad went out there and addressed the needs. And it was very clear that he did. So I think once he addressed those needs, they probably had one of the best off seasons in the entire NFL. Brad did. And now as soon as you do that, that's where I think, okay, now let's look at it. They had a 17-point lead. Why did they blow that lead? Oh, because their defense couldn't get stops. Okay, did they address the defense? Did they get better? Way better on defense. They upgraded a lot. Yeah. Okay, so now let's compare the teams. What happens if they played the same game they did with these updated teams? The Lions are gonna win that football game. That's how I kind of took it in my head. And I think going through the year, you're gonna start seeing. That's why I think Week 17 is gonna be the winner of that game wins the number 1 seed. And I think the Detroit Lions win that football game in Week 17 to take the 1 seed and get home field advantage through it all.
I think it's well said. I want to get into Gentry's now. Gentry, we're going to get yours up here. You feel free to break it down, explain your reasoning. Let's do it.
All right. For all the reasons I said, I'm not going to explain the Green Bay one, really. Obviously, I think Stafford's a better quarterback. I think their offense is better as of now. I still do think they have question marks on the D, but that'll work itself out. And then I think Green Bay, number 5, they have a chance to move up this list, but I want to see it as the season goes on. I think Jordan Love's only going to continue to get better. And Jalen Hurts and the Eagles at 3. I've been saying it all since we really started here. I think the Eagles team's going to have a tremendous bounce back year. I think people are sleeping on Jalen Hurts and the Eagles. And then number 2, I have the Lions. Until they beat the San Francisco 49ers, I'm not putting them number 1. They got a matchup in the regular season, and then they'll play them again in the playoffs, hopefully. But until they beat them, until the 49ers lose, I cannot take them out of the number 1 spot. And I know the Lions had a great offseason. They addressed their needs on defense. Like Booner said, maybe I don't like the edges that we got, and maybe I'm not happy with that position. But they did go out and address their needs. They had a very great draft. But I'm still putting the 49ers number 1 as of now.
And I could defend. I have a little rebuttal here with the 49ers thing here. Is, in my opinion, and Gentry, I was with you a couple weeks ago when we did our full NFL power rankings, and I had kind of the same mindset. Excuse me. But to me, it's just like, yeah, but like, what are we going to do? Are we just going to keep putting the 49ers behind or ahead of the Detroit Lions until Week 17 on every rankings we do? And that was where my mind, that kind of clicked a little bit to where I was like, okay, like, let me look at these teams. Like, what did these teams do in the offseason? And I felt like, again, the Lions addressed the needs that they needed to. And the 49ers, like, yeah, Ricky Pearsall, they added a piece, but they have some disgruntled wide receivers who might want out. Like, there's things going on over there. They've had a couple players on defense leave now. They did add a couple pieces, but like, there was a little kind of turnaround there to where they realized, like, we keep getting to the Super Bowl, we're not winning. Like, we need to change something. So it feels like maybe a little bit of a different vibe. But again, like, I get that point, but like, if we're going to wait until they beat them, we're gonna have the Lions behind the 49ers until Week 17, which, like, we're gonna see them play for a couple weeks too. And it's like, if they played right now with the teams they have now, like if they played Week 1 instead of Week 17, I think the Lions would go on the road and beat the 49ers, guys. Like, I really believe that. I really do.
If they go into that game and they have the same record, who do you think is going to be above in the power rankings, the Lions or the 49ers?
I would have to see the teams and like how they're playing at that point. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'd have to see who's dominating, who have they beat? Yeah, like, who have they beaten?
Yeah, I guess you could.
Here's the thing, though. I'll say, and I think Andrew put this very well. He kind of just took the words right out of my mouth.
Nice, Andrew.
Andrew Jones here in the chat. He says 49ers were the best last year and didn't lose anything. They're still at the top till proven otherwise. That's kind of how I feel it should, like, it is. They actually added. They lost Chase Young, but they replaced him with Leonard Floyd, who had 10 and a half sacks last year.
They're essentially the same team, right? Essentially.
I don't think it's like a gap. I think the Lions
getting
are
an all-pro safety
So
back.
so let's say that. So when they play,
Tufanga's back.
When they played last year, you're saying there wasn't really a big gap, like you could tell, because lines were up. Like they didn't essentially add anything. So if there was no gap and one team added more than the other and one team got that much better in the offseason than the other, there has to be a change in that gap, correct? Yeah. Essentially, right? Like logically.
You're acting like the 49ers. They had an offseason, dude.
They did, but I think the Lions had the best one.
They had a good draft.
I think the Lions had one of the best ones in the NFL.
That's fair.
They addressed literally like the 49ers brought pieces in, Ricky Pearsall.
Because they added Leonard Floyd, Devondre Campbell. Like that, those are two really.
They lost players. They added players, but guess what? They lost some big time players as well. Eric Armstead gone.
Yeah, but Leonard Floyd. I'm cool.
Yeah, but like they lost Chase Young. Like they've lost. They added pieces. Now, if they kept those pieces and they added, then you're like, okay, they're stacking up. But like they lost. They had to replace guys.
Yeah, and again, I don't. Again, it's close. I don't hate
your take is how I feel with a lot of players, Booner. Like when I talk about some of the players that I think, well, yeah, you can say like production wise, they're not good right now, but by the end of the year, we're going to be saying that they're the better player or team. So I understand where you're coming from.
Thank you.
All right, well, you'll do your list, next, Lucas. We'll get yours up here, and then we'll break that down.
I'm ready to get absolutely killed by the chat and by the fellas.
Oh, and by the way, there's a little surprise on your list as well.
Yeah, people are gonna hate it.
Well, no, like an actual, like you'll see. So here's your here's your
oh my God.
Here's Lucas the ball knower, his list. Lucas, what's going on here?
Listen, you can hate the Falcons, but they're going to be an 11-12 win team, and I truly believe that. I think the case that you were making for the Rams defense, Jeff, is more applicable, especially when you add in the fact that it's Raheem Morris that's there. For the Falcons defense, they have a top 10 offensive line. They're going to have a top 3 backfield in the NFL this year, and then they have a true X wide receiver in Drake London. I think Kyle Pitts and Darnell Mooney will be reliable, just second and third options there, but this is going to be a really good cohesive football team that's going to be hard to beat. I feel very similar to them as I do about the Indianapolis Colts. So you can hate it all you want, but when the season is ending, the Atlanta Falcons will probably be the 3 or 4 seed in the NFC.
They're going to feast on that division too.
They should win that division, so I would hope they're going to
go 5-1 in that division. Yeah. They're probably going to split with the Bucs and sweep everybody else.
So you can keep going. We'll address it.
Okay, so we'll go Packers. I think you guys all made the case for the Packers. I think they're a really good team, both offensively and defensively. Eagles are going to bounce back in a major way. I think Jalen Hurts is going to prove that he is a legitimate quarterback in this league. He's not just a system guy. The system helps him, but he's a very good quarterback as well. And then I really did fight between the Niners and the Lions, just to the point that Booner was saying. But I had to add in the fact that I think the fact that imagine like Brian Branch being out for the Lions last season. And obviously they're better than the Lions defensively, but that's like Hufanga for the 49ers. He's such a difference maker. And I just think them adding Ricky Pearsall to go with Jawan Jennings, they're extremely deep in the wide receiver room. And Sam Laporta and George Kittle, there's still, I think, blocking wise, a little bit to go for Sam Laporta to catch him yet. So I'm going to give him the edge there. And then Christian McCaffrey and Jahmyr Gibbs, you know how I feel about Jahmyr, but until he has that season, I'm not going to put him over C-Mac yet. So I'm going to go with the Niners in a slight edge.
So, all right. Should we just address the Falcons now? Or maybe just get my list and then we'll address the Falcons?
Why do you have the Falcons on your list?
Well, maybe we'll get to my list and then we'll circle back around. All right. Because, we'll do mine and then we'll come back to this. That's fine. So people are already kind of freaking out about the Falcons. I think by the way, real quick.
It was close, man. It was between the Falcons and Rams.
AJ Terrell, they got Bates. Yeah, they got a good secondary.
People sleep on Grady Jarrett and David Onyemata.
Yeah. So it's not a bad pick. I would take the Rams, but like it's not like if you put like the Bucs in there or something, I'd be like, what are you doing? The Falcons, I think they'll win like at 11-12 games.
I would have the Falcons at 6 probably, or I'll probably have the Falcons at 7 on my list, honestly.
Who would be 6?
6 would be the Dallas Cowboys.
Cowboys, yeah.
I think that's like a real.
Bijan's going to have a year, boys. I think Bijan's going to have a year. I think it's going to be hard to stop him.
Hey, I agree. I
think Bijan's going to be good.
I might take the Falcons over the Cowboys.
I'm taking the Falcons over the Cowboys without a doubt.
I might
without
take
a
the
doubt.
Falcons over the Cowboys.
Are we starting your list, Jeff? Or are we?
All right. Yep,
I was going to say something about Lucas's if we weren't.
All right, let's do mine. We'll get mine in. We'll go back to Lucas's, and I'll pull it back up if there's anything you want to reference. Okay, here's my list. All right, so Gentry, you know ball. So here's mine, top 5.
I knew it, Jeff.
We'll start at 5. Yeah, you can tell me and Gentry have been doing this for. At number 5, we got the Green Bay Packers. Okay, not much to be said. I think they're a top 5 team. I do. Jordan Love this year is going to either prove everybody and continue to prove why he is one of the better young quarterbacks, especially in the NFC, but not just that, the NFL. Or B, he shits the bed and the Packers don't do well, but I think he will do well. So I have him at 5. I think they're a top 5 team. Number 4, I have the Los Angeles Rams. You guys know how I feel about Stafford. Yeah. The Rams are going to be better than the Packers, I think. I don't think it's egregious to pick the Packers, but I think the Rams, man, the defense is improving. They still have weapons. Sean McVay, Kyron Williams, their offensive line to sign Jonah Jackson. Almost said Jonah Williams. He's with the Cardinals. But Jonah Jackson, former Lions offensive guard. So I like what they're building, man. Rams are going to be better this year. Not only that, but I think they'll contend for their division with the 49ers. And number 3, I have the Eagles. We're all in lockstep with the Eagles. I think they're going to bounce back. New OC, new DC. They added talent. They had a hell of a draft. The Eagles are going to be right back in that number 1 seed equation. I think it'll be a 3-team race for that number 1 seed, truly. And we'll see who comes out on top. But I am high on the Eagles. I think we're all in lockstep there. Number 2, I have the Lions. I do. I don't think, like I said to Booner, I don't hate anybody for picking the Lions. I just think with the 49ers, and they did have a pretty good offseason. I know we're not as keyed in with the 49ers, but they had some good signings, and they had a pretty good draft as well. So they're going to remain number 1. But again, we're doing this weekly. So again, as the season goes on, if the Lions continue to prove, hey, we are the best team in the NFC, then yeah, it's going to change. But at this point, before any games are played, I'm going to leave the Niners 1 and put the Lions 2. It is close, but that is my top 5. Same as Gentry's.
Yeah, I don't hate it. I think, like, obviously, I'm on the side to where the Rams Packers can be interchangeable there, so I don't hate it. And like, real quick too, like with the Falcons point too, one of the things, like, it's a team to where they didn't even make the playoffs last year, and yeah, I get they have pieces and things like that, and they brought in Kirk Cousins. I get that, but like we saw this Rams team and this Packers team go in and win a playoff game last year, and they added pieces as well. And these young guys are more experienced. So like, that's something I think to take into consideration with the Rams and Packers. And that's why I do think, like, again, they're both interchangeable. So I like your list as well. I don't hate it at all.
So so me and Gentry have the same list. Booner, you have the Lions 1 and you have the Packers 4. So that's the only difference. And then Lucas has, but we have all this first. I think we all have the same first 3 teams, but Booner, because he has just the Lions. But we all have the Eagles 3, basically.
Mm-hmm.
We all think the Eagles are right there. So we're all in lockstep there. But Lucas, you do have the Falcons. Gentry, you had something to say on his putting the Falcons as a top 5 team in the NFC?
No, I mean, I agree with it to a certain extent because I kind of forgot about them. And I think Kirk Cousins and that offense is going to be very good. But you did downplay the Rams defensive line and say that they have 2 rookies when I know they have Grady Jarrett, who's good. He's not great, but the Rams have Kobe Turner with the 2 rookies. And then
Turner. Okay, I'm sorry not to cut you off.
Yeah.
You would not have known who Kobe Turner was if it was not for Aaron Donald last year.
I know,
and I'm sorry, that is facts. If Aaron Donald was not getting triple teamed, you would not have known who Kobe Turner was. Kobe Turner is a good player, but I think we are downplaying so much on the fact that Aaron Donald is leaving this defense. I think the offense is going to be fine. But when you look at the Rams compared to the Falcons defense, there wasn't anybody that jumped out at you. But if you look at the rosters right now on paper, the Falcons, I'm sorry, without a doubt on paper have the better defense, especially in the secondary. I'd say the front seven's a draw. And then you add in the fact that the Rams just lost their defensive coordinator. He's a head coach for the Falcons. And what is he going to do? He's going to lock down that secondary. And I still like Clark Phillips III a lot. And they're going to want to run the ball. It's going to be a team that's just going to be hard to beat. They're going to be a physical football team. And I think the Rams are a team that they have a lot of injury-prone players over there, from Cooper Kupp to Matthew Stafford to Kyron Williams. And the Falcons, I just think, are a little bit deeper. I do. I think the Rams have more upper end talent, but at the end of the day, when you start smacking around that upper end talent and they don't like it and you don't have Aaron Donald there, you don't know how they're going to respond.
No, that's fair. And no, that was just what I wanted to address, because they do have similar situations with the defensive line, and obviously that's probably the biggest focal point looking into the season as far as the Rams defense goes. So that was just one thing, but I don't hate it at all, because I think the Falcons offense is going to be very good with Kirk. Not a Kirk guy, but I think they're still going to be very good.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay. Well, I think you just threw some shade at Kobe Turner. Okay.
Yeah, out of nowhere too.
Yeah, I mean,
Gentry, I'm with you.
It's a fair point. It's a fair point.
It is, but
he still has to go out there and prove himself without Aaron Donald. So
he does.
I mean, I get it, but I still think Kobe Turner is a very good defensive tackle.
He had 9 sacks last year, like with Aaron Donald or without Aaron Donald. 9 sacks is 9 sacks.
It's impressive. Maybe I was extreme on
Let's not take away from that at all. Like
that's fair.
Kobe Turner, and you add Braden Fisk, and you're adding different guys in that deep. They're building
Jared
something
Verse
fine.
too, yeah.
Jared Verse, like,
if their build is go ahead.
I'm just saying, like you just keep let's just not act like this is a bad, like you're acting like this is this is going to be a good defense this year, and they were good last year, and they had a lot of young guys on that defensive line last year, and let's see, okay, maybe without Aaron Donald, maybe Kobe Turner turns into a dude without Aaron Donald. Like who knows? That man had 9 sacks last year. ETN just put it in the chat. 3rd ever rookie defensive tackle to ever have 9 sacks in the season. That's crazy. So that might actually be let's give the man.
Okay, all I'm saying is that he probably without him would probably be a 4 or 5 sack guy. Still a good player, but he's got to have another learning curve. This is a young defensive line. They could be building something special, but there is 1,000% going to be some growing pains with this defense. I like Tre'Davious White. He's coming off a major injury. He's going to be behind a step. I like Darius Williams, but when you don't have Aaron Donald putting pressure on the quarterback, he can be exploited just because of his size. He's a 5'9" perimeter cornerback. And then you look at their safeties. I can't think of the one. Russ Yeast was there for a little bit, but their safeties are all right. There's nothing to write home about. If you look at the Falcons, I just like what they got going on a little bit more as far as a physical team. I think they're built to beat a lot of teams. I think they have ability to control the ball better.
And I wanted to look really quickly because Aaron Donald missed 1 game last year. So I was very curious to see what Kobe Turner did in that game. It was his first game in the NFL. He did not have a sack.
Oh, first game in the NFL. Come on. That's such a bad.
I'm looking at it like that.
Yeah, I was curious. I was actually looking.
That was a narrative thing.
Can I get him here without Aaron Donald? He gets a sack, but no, it's his first game. He didn't get a sack. Again, I don't know how many snaps he played, but I get what you're saying, Lucas, though. He has to go out there without one of the greatest defensive players of all time and go out and prove it. I get that.
And
I mean, Klotz, though, to your point, to me, it's just like you wanted them to prove it too. It's like, hey, the Falcons have to prove this thing too. They didn't even make the playoffs last year, so I do get you.
They almost did with Desmond Ridder and Taylor Heineke. They were 2 games away from.
But to your again, I'll reverse card it to you. The division is trash. It's a trash division.
Exactly, but the fact that you have Desmond Ritter, who's like trash a D- quarterback, and it looked like a competent. Remember when the Lions and Falcons played? They're like, oh, this is actually going to be a game. Like they looked like they had Arthur Smith as their head fucking coach, and he was refusing to use Bijan Robinson. Like their offense hasn't even been tapped into yet. And I think because Raheem Morris is a defensive head coach, I don't think he's gonna make it into an absolute powerhouse, but they're going to run the football and they're going to do play action passes with Kirk Cousins to Drake London. And then he's going to get Kyle Pitts on a drag. Like this offense, I think will finally be what all the fans in Atlanta want it to be. I'm just high on the Falcons.
All right. I think it's ludicrous to just automatically put the Falcons over the Rams, even and I hate the Cowboys just over.
I'm using your point with the Lions and the 49ers. At the end of the year, I think that the Falcons will be a better team than the Rams, but the Rams will be right.
I mean, my point with them is if they
playing in the playoffs.
If they played today, who's going to win that football game? If they played right now,
I mean, that's tough to say because the Rams or the Falcons, your point, just get Kirk Cousins. But if you're saying at the end of the season, you'd have to see it. But I would.
Power rankings are going to.
Well, hold on. Also, the Falcons, I think early on, not that you're making this point, Lucas, because you're not talking the first 2-3 weeks. You're just talking about in general. But they do face the Steelers, Eagles, and Chiefs their first 3 games.
Yeah.
So you'll
then
find
the
out.
back half of their schedule is cheesecake.
You're gonna know right.
Yeah,
because their whole
that's what I
division's
was
trash.
looking at too. Because
Yeah, I
down
mean,
the
the
even
Falcons-
like they play like the Raiders. They play the AFC West, so they
Yeah,
play
they
like
do.
the
You're-
Raiders, Broncos, and
they play the Vikings, Raiders, Giants, Commanders, and just Panthers.
Let me remind you of something really cool too. Guess what? Kirk Cousins and what's going to happen with the Falcons. They might look good because they're in a bad division. They'll get in the playoffs and lose in round one, just like Kirk Cousins did in Minnesota. And that great team and all of those names that he had with Justin Jeff. Yes, you can make this point now, but they are going to get into the playoffs. Yeah, they might be a 3 or 4 seed because they won the worst division in football, and then they lose week 1 in the playoffs.
Okay, and then what if the Los Angeles Rams are we'll make them the 6th seed and the Lions the 2?
But guess what? The Rams just won a playoff game a couple months ago. So did the Packers.
They didn't. They lost in the wild card round.
The Rams didn't win a playoff game?
No, they lost to the Lions.
Oh, I guess so. Yeah, you're right.
They won a Super Bowl and then they didn't.
But they were in the playoffs.
They played.
They were in the playoffs.
Yeah, bro. They got Matthew Stafford as the quarterback, not Desmond Ridder. Like the Rams are still a very good team. Like you're acting like I say they suck. I literally said like I had to fight nails here, but I just think the Falcons are going to be a more physical team, and when then playoffs that matters. Like the teams that you can just run down the throat and control the clock on, which I think what the Falcons are. They have success in the playoff. Not a Super Bowl contender, but they can definitely win a playoff game or two. I don't think that's crazy to think. The Buccaneers won a playoff game.
Hey, ETN, the Rams fan, he says Lucas points out how Stafford is injury prone, but doesn't mention how Cousins will be coming off a torn Achilles. Interesting.
And then who did the Falcons just pick in the top 10?
Ooh.
Michael Penix? Oh. I'm just saying that's a better insurance option than Jimmy fucking Garoppolo. It is.
Hey,
I'm sorry. One of them can actually throw the ball down the field.
A tough schedule.
Klotz just added another team to his fandom. There we go.
It's a team that I think people are sleeping on. Like they are.
Man's going to end up with the whole league.
That's Go ahead, Jeff.
No, I was gonna agree. I was gonna say maybe I wouldn't have them 5, but I had if I had to do a top 10, I would have the Falcons in that top 10. I would probably have them at like 7, maybe 6. Actually, 6. Yeah.
Did any of us have the Falcons in the top 10 when we did the NFL power rankings a couple weeks ago?
I'm pretty sure I did. Yeah.
I think so. Yeah. I'm trying to think of like NFC teams in general.
I don't think I did.
I don't think I did.
I'm gonna be honest. The NFC isn't like this got young quarterbacks, but I don't. It's not really this deep. Like I would take the Falcons right now over the Cowboys. I'm sorry. Like Zeke is not putting any fear in my eyes. Like
no.
Jeff, you did not.
What?
You did not, Jeff. Klotzy, do you want me to give it to you?
I probably didn't. If you're not saying it like that, I probably didn't.
I'm going to throw it out there. You had the Rams at 9, the Packers at 10.
It's fair.
I'm trying to find
wait, when was this? What day was this?
This was after this was about a week after the draft. So this was just. And I just think
like it's one of those things where, especially in the off season, man. Like I'm not going to cut something down.
I've got it. I got it pulled up here. This was like 2 weeks ago. Do you want me to name yours?
Yeah. Go through. Who the hell do I have in the top 10?
You had the Kansas City Chiefs number 1, the San Francisco 49ers number 2, Lions 3.
No, I said NFC. NFC.
Oh, NFC. You had the 49ers at 2. You had the Lions at 3. The Eagles at 5. The Rams at 8. You've been consistent with that, and you had the Packers. You had your exact same NFC one that you had here.
There you go.
Let me see if I can get. I don't know if.
I was gonna say top 10 in the NFC. Damn, I didn't have the what? No, but yeah, I get you. Yeah, top 10 NFL. No, but NFC. Oh yeah. They're better than the Cowboys, in my opinion. But once you get those AFC teams in there,
Klotzy,
Klotzy,
I want to throw this out here. Your list changed a lot in a week.
What did it do?
You had the Lions at number 1 in the NFC.
Yeah, the Niners. Yeah,
Niners 2, Eagles 3, Rams 4. You had the Rams 4, and then the Packers 5.
New information.
Yeah, like with the offseason, man, it's just like it's so hard to like gauge. Like we haven't even seen these teams strap up yet. So it's just
to be fair, nothing has happened since we've done these lists. Gentry, I can't find your list on there. I do not know why. It's not popping up.
You just don't care about me.
But I went through the whole thing. But again, like I went back today. When I did my list, I went back today and looked at my list because we did it a couple weeks ago. Nothing's changed, and I was all right. I did change the Lions. I put them up. There, yeah. To ETN's point, Klotzy, what new information? You had the Falcons jump 2 spots in the Rams.
ETN's coming for his neck after not putting the Rams in the top 5.
When I have more time to think about things, like if I'm being like breaking down the top 10 NFL teams and I'm just like, okay, I'm thinking a little bit more about the AFC. But then when I'm like really dialing in and thinking about it, like obviously I'm going to focus more as the season goes in. Like I'm not going to be like, oh, okay, at the start of the draft, this is what I'm going to say. At the end of the offseason, this is what I'm going to say. Like it's not going to be the same thing. Like when I think about things more, it's fine.
Yeah,
like I'm sure everyone switches up on things. I'm not going to stay biased to what I said a week ago just because I'm like, oh, well, I said it a week ago and I still feel that way. Like, no, if I change my feeling on things, I'm going to say it.
Well, okay, yeah, all right.
Well, I think also it matters because their teams are close. It's
so close, it's all interchangeable at the end of the day. That's why I think the Cowboys. You could argue the Cowboys. I know they lose, but like they have a good football team at the end of the day. Like you could argue them. The Falcons again. I think 6 is the Cowboys. I think 7 is the Falcons. I think the top 7 is like, and then there maybe there's a drop off after that. Because I think when you get into the AFC is where it's like there's a lot of good football teams. But like the NFC, it's just there's 7 teams and that's it.
Look at John. Watch this
don't need that.
Here where Bryce Young comes out of nowhere and the Panthers win the 1 seed. The Panthers, they don't have a single primetime game. That's
0.
where the Panthers are right now.
0.
That's where they are right now as an organization. So yeah. That's what that is. Speaking of the playoffs, or at least the best teams going to the playoffs, well, who we think will be there. 33rd team has their seed prediction, and I want to go through the NFC and see how it aligns with our ranking and kind of how we see things turning out. It does fit somebody's narrative here.
Who's that?
That would be Mr. Booner. That would be
the
Booner path. Look at this 33rd team put this out. Look at their playoff seed rankings. And as you could see, and make sure you guys can see this, you look at who's in the playoffs. They have the Lions as a number 1 seed. Oh, technically, it kind of does fit Klotzy's narrative a little bit. I mean, they're in.
To be fair, though, whoever wins that division gets the 4th seed. So it's not like they're a great football team because they're the 4th seed. It's the divisions get 1, 2, 3, 4.
Who would you take, Falcons or Green Bay?
Green Bay wins that football game.
I think so too.
Like that's to my point. It's like I think Green Bay is a better football team. I mean, the only reason they're going to be a 3 or 4 seed or a 4 seed is because they win the worst division in football.
That would be in Atlanta.
Green Bay wins that football game.
No.
That's the thing with
I
Atlanta.
don't know. I think that'd be a good game to watch, though. If I'm being honest, that's a hell of a game. The 4 and 5
a lot of points being scored in that game.
Yeah,
that Rams game, Rams Philly, great
that's
football
a good
game
one
as
too.
well. The Bears 49ers. That's just like, what are we doing? It's tough.
I mean, it does have potential to be good if the Bears actually.
Bears being a playoff team, 3 NFC North playoffs.
That's the whole reason you wanted to show this, wasn't it?
No.
There's no.
You went out of your way to find this graphic, didn't you?
I'm not going.
That's why you picked the topic before this too.
He did, yeah. He went out of his way to find this graphic and put this in.
You know what? You know what? I will say, fellas, I know that here comes Jeff's a Bears fan. Okay, here, and I understand. It's more so I do think the Bears are going to shock some people, man. I do. I think this NFC North division is going to be tough as hell. It is. I think it is already right now one of the best divisions in the league. Like, and I've been saying that, and that's how this graphic fits my narrative. So you guys are probably right. That's why I put it up. Fits my narrative. NFC North is good.
I agree.
And the Lions get the number 1 seed. They get that bye, which that would be so important. Because again, you got to think they have the week 5 bye, so now they get a bye in the playoffs.
Yep,
gives them some rest.
You do gotta like the NFC North. We keep talking about like these quarterbacks are getting so good, and there's outside of Matt Eberflus is good coaches in this division now. It's going to be 3 teams every year from the NFC North, in my opinion. In there, you're going to beat each other up all year. But the Bear, I think for it to be this year, that's great. That'd be wild for it to be this year right away. That'd be
crazy about it too. Do you think the Cowboys miss the playoffs?
Oh, the Cowboys aren't even on here.
There's a chance. Again, that's what none of us had them on the top 5 graphic. There's a chance.
Imagine not noticing America's team. I didn't even notice them. That's wild.
America's team's number 1, Jeff.
The same old Cowboys, baby.
Bears fan, Jeff.
If they don't make the playoffs, would I be shocked? Absolutely not. I would not.
No.
If they go like 8-9 and don't make it, let's say like they deal with some injuries, I think they're probably a Zeke injury away from having no run game, and they have Deuce Vaughn out there looking like Kevin Hart, or they lose CeeDee Lamb and everything else shits the bed. Like, yeah, I think there's a couple. Micah Parsons goes down. Like, there's always a way, I think, and that happens. But the Cowboys specifically are like, they're fragile this year, man.
Dude, if the Bears make it as a wild card team, that means Caleb Williams had to have just absolutely torched up teams. That scares me. It scares me a little bit.
I don't even think that's the case, though. I mean, their defense is nuts. You know what I mean? Like, they're like Caleb could play like
good roster,
good for 8 games of the season and okay for the other 9, and they could defensively just win that game.
And even this, I mean, Adam, he says NFC is going to be tricky this year. Last year was much more predictable across the board. It's not as bad as it was last year. And that's the thing with the Bears, too. Like, the Bears making it, I'm not really shocked because, like, okay, again, you have the Cowboys. Okay, keep going. Buccaneers. I would personally take the Cowboys. Or, excuse me, why am I mixing up my teams? Bears over the Cowboys. I would take the Bears. Like, in terms of, like, if they're in this, if the Bears are like this, and now we're coming down to the last stretch of the season, like, I would take them over the Buccaneers, the Bears, too. I'm sorry. I don't know. Maybe I'm just crazy. Maybe I'm crazy. Dude, the weapons the Bears have are wild. So that's where I'm at. The NFC is not that. It's not as deep, obviously, as the AFC. But man, I don't know. To me, I wouldn't be shocked if like a Bears made the playoffs. That's why the NFC is unpredictable to me. It is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the AFC side, in my opinion, still like that's going to be a better playoff games. You're going to have 7 like just elite teams in the playoffs on the other side there. Compared to this, you could give me the 7th team in the AFC and the 6th team in the AFC over all of these 4, 5, 6, 7 here, probably on the NFC side.
Do you think the Bears have a better chance than the Seahawks?
I think the Seahawks are kind of in that mix too. I like they're in that. To me, and I don't know where you guys are at. It's like it's our top 5 list, and then there's a bunch of teams kind of in the same atmosphere. Like I don't.
Seattle Bears.
Yeah, Seattle Bears, Cowboys, Buccaneers. Like, that's why, maybe I retract that. I won't say yet the Bears are just better than all of them, but it's close. That's my point. Like, I don't know. Who's better? You could argue the Bucs.
They're just a bunch of...
They're all kind of in the same tier to me. You know, Seahawks. I don't know. So, I mean,
do you have the other half of this graphic for the AFC?
Yes, I do. So let's put that up.
This is interesting because there's a couple teams that are left out.
Yeah. Okay. So let's show the AFC side, and then we'll kind of break that down. And it's crazy to think, just CJ Stroud, his rookie year, was in the AFC and he still made the playoffs, but that's a whole nother thing. So here's the AFC side.
They left out my Colts.
Houston number 1.
I don't know.
Houston won.
Booner, what's the first thing you
know? Why don't we not talk about that, huh?
I don't know. Seems that 2 teams from a certain division are here and one's not. It's weird. I don't know.
Just trying to write your own narrative over there.
Yeah, I mean, it fits my narrative. Certainly it does. But the Jets are they're here. Miami's here. 2 teams from that division. Ravens.
Who won that division?
All right,
it
doesn't matter. It's wrong.
None of our teams.
Graphic doesn't fit my narrative, so it's wrong. No, the Bengals, Steelers are in the playoffs. Will that be with Russell Wilson or Justin Fields though?
Russ for sure.
You gonna let Russ cook? Come on.
I don't understand how Kansas City is not number 1. I mean, their defense. I understand. They should just be number 1. Like, there's no question. I'm fine with Cincy as 2, but Houston, I think, is in a tougher division than the AFC West. I understand that Harbaugh just got there, but they're going to go through natural growing pains. I don't think they have an upper echelon talent to compete. And Kansas City, this offense is going to be the best one that Mahomes has had over the last 3 seasons. That defense is still going to be elite. This is probably – I would not be surprised at all if the Chiefs three-peated. Would not be surprised in the least.
I would. Detroit Lions, baby.
Oh, I hope so.
Yeah.
I think that's what will happen. But do you think would you be surprised if the other team that would win it be the Chiefs? No, of course not.
I don't think the Steelers make the playoffs.
Nah.
And Lucas, I did want to point out the Colts aren't up here. Your Colts.
Let him sleep. Let him sleep. Like,
Right.
if we're being real, like if you were to tell me we'll even put it in Miami. Like I could easily see in a playoff game the Colts going into Miami and winning. If Miami had to go into Indianapolis, I think the Colts would win without a doubt. Like the Colts are just another physical team that very much like how I was saying with the Falcons, they're just gonna be a physical team that can control the ball with anybody with their running game, play action. Obviously, Anthony Richardson's a different athlete than Kirk Cousins, but they all do different things. And I just think both of those teams are. If there would be like a wild card team to upset them, it'd be the Colts. Like I think the Colts could compete with anybody in this league.
These are some crazy matchups too.
Yeah,
Chiefs, Mahomes, Aaron Rodgers, first round. And the winner of that gets to face Joe Burrow because he's beaten whatever team. Yeah, he's beaten Pittsburgh if he faces them.
It would be what? Yeah, it'd be KC and Cincy in the divisional.
Hold on, that Colts, they could beat anybody in the league
in like a one game thing. Yes, absolutely.
I mean, like I'm a Colts guy, but like if you put them up against the Kansas City Chiefs in the playoffs, the Chiefs are winning that football game 10 times out of 10 times.
Most likely if you're gonna put them against Patrick Mahomes, yes. But I'm saying if you're talking about like there's Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs, but even still, like the Oakland Raiders beat the Kansas City Chiefs, Las Vegas Raiders beat the Kansas City Chiefs, like. There's teams that are just built to control the ball. So what I'm saying is if a team goes in sleeping against the Indianapolis Colts, like they are going to smack them. They're a physical football team. When you get into playoff times, what do you have to be able to do? Stop the run and run the ball. And that's what the Colts do. It's not just the Colts. The Colts are a product of watching other teams and how they build teams and where they're consistently good. The Colts are a team that are building something special. And I think if you look back,
keyword.
Yes, they're not going to be at their prime. When Anthony Richardson's primed out, that's when they'll be at their prime. But I still think this is another 10-11 win football team. That's a playoff
So do you
team.
think now in that essence then make the statement here, are the Colts a Super Bowl contending team?
No, that's what I said. If you're going into a wild card game, they can go in there and upset anybody. I would not be surprised without a doubt if there to be like a wild card game, the Chiefs with the 2 seed. Like they can go, they're not going to Super Bowl contender, but there's teams that can knock off anybody if a team's sleeping in there, and they're one of those teams. That's not a bad take whatsoever. You were just as high. You were saying,
I'm a Colts guy.
With everything you're saying 2 weeks ago. I agree with what you're saying.
I agree. I think the Colts have a chance to sit there and compete for the division. I get
with
that.
The Houston Texans. So now you're telling me that if they can compete with the Houston Texans, you're telling me that they can upset anybody.
I thought you were saying that they can make a run in the playoffs, essentially.
No, they're going to they can win a playoff game or two.
All right, that's fair. A playoff game? Yeah, I think that's fair. I think that's completely fair. You see teams like the Ravens get beat week 1 all the time in the playoffs.
Like, look at how the Dolphins show up consistently in the playoffs. Like, they don't. No matter if they have Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, whoever they have, they just don't show up.
What they do translates. Travels is the right word. Travels.
And if they have Joe Flacco as their backup, if AR goes down, I mean, that man knows how to win too.
He'll throw 3 TDs, 3 picks, maybe throw 300 yards in there.
So, Booner, why isn't Josh Allen and the Bills on this list?
No comment. No comment.
I'm just here so I won't get fined.
No comment. We could talk about this by the end of the season. We'll see who's in that list.
Hey, I like that Jets-Chiefs matchup.
Great matchup at Arrowhead.
Ooh. That's a big
one.
A great game. And I'm gonna be honest. Looking at this graphic, just my first thoughts immediately is I don't think the Steelers are making the playoffs.
I think they're going to be in the conversation to do it. If they essentially have a similar team than they did last year. If TJ Watt stays healthy all year, the only thing they didn't really have was a quarterback, and they added one. And I think if you give an average Russ with Mike Tomlin, but if you dude, who did they have last year? Mason Rudolph half of the year, they made the playoffs last year, didn't they? Weren't they the 7th seed? Yeah, and they had Mason Rudolph.
Find a way.
Imagine now that they just have a competent quarterback that could just go out there and just don't throw interceptions. Just go out there and take care of the ball. That's all you have to do. TJ Watt will score the touchdowns on the other side. He'll get the lead. Just go out there and don't give the ball back consistently to the other football team, and we're gonna win games. Mike Tomlin figures out how to do it every single year, dude. Every year.
I will give you a bone. Here, Lucas. You know what? The Colts, I think, could take the Steelers spot.
I think the Colts could go. They could even go up to the 5. I really think they're going to give the Texans a run for their money. I think that's going to be the AFC South will be very similar to the NFC North.
Damn. No, I'm just like,
is even like the Jags. Like I think the Jags and the Bears could be comparable as far as tiers of teams.
Jeff, did you give up on Trevor Lawrence?
I do not. I do not.
And he's gone too. He's not in there.
Yeah, well, that's why the Colts. I think the Colts and Jags will be in the same realm. I do.
So, you know who we are forgetting, gentlemen?
Who?
Jim Harbaugh and the Chargers.
Oh no,
they won't.
I wouldn't.
It's not even against him. Yeah,
I think that contention maybe is a good word. Like they'll be like 500, like kind of like the Lions when they were 9-8. It's like, will they make it? Maybe some chips have to fall a certain way. If they have, that's like I think best case scenario. Yeah. I don't think they go out and win 11 games. If he does, he just confirms what I already thought, which he's one of the best coaches on planet Earth. So you know what, I wouldn't be shocked, but I don't think it happens.
To Booner's point, I was counting out the Steelers too, but I guess you really can't ever count out Mike Tomlin. Even though I don't believe in Russell Wilson, they still have one of the best defenses in the league, and they have one of the best head coaches. And he wins games, so who knows?
They just need Russ to play how he did in Denver, even as bad as it was. That's all they need to make the playoffs.
Agreed. What did he have last year? I'm gonna pull up the stats real quick because he didn't have like a terrible year. It wasn't like he was just
statistically he did not.
Yeah, so like, dude, just go do that. Just go do that. Just don't turn the ball over. Just don't do that.
He had 26 TDs, 3,000 yards, and 8 picks.
23-8.
26-8. Sorry,
it was a tough 26-8 to watch.
Yeah, I'll raise the hand.
Guess what?
I'll raise the hand.
With Mike Tomlin,
it was an ugly 26-8.
Don't care. Now he's in a good position.
Like he would have 3 TDs with like a $120 passing yards, and it's like, wait, how?
3,000 yards. I said it.
Yeah. Yeah, it didn't make a lot of sense. It was very confusing, to be honest. Chargers have to be in the discussion. Harbaugh wins 70% of his NFL games. See, that argument, like, I love Adam, but the whole, like, he did it, and that's his resume, so he will continue to win 70% of his NFL games. This is a new situation, okay? And we have to take that into consideration. The Chargers defensively, I think they still have pieces. But come on, that argument to me is like trying to think of like a different situation. That'd be like, that'd be like me. This is probably maybe a little more of an egregious level, but you could even go Pete Carroll after Russell Wilson. It's like, look at what Pete Carroll did, or Bill Belichick after Tom Brady. It's like, well, he's won a lot of games. He's going to continue to win games. Like, I think you have to factor in, well, no, Tom Brady left, or in this case, like the Chargers are in a rebuild. Like they are in a rebuild, man. Like,
can I ask you guys this?
Lost their entire receiving core. So
go Boom.
I don't know.
How bad was when Jim Harbaugh took over the 49ers in 2011? How was that team?
They had dudes.
Oh, they were
it's kind of like
because they started 13-3.
He made them better. Like it's hard. It's hard to say because they had Frank Gore, they got Patrick Willis, Navarro Bowman, and all that. But like,
I'm trying to compare here.
Harbaugh definitely played a huge role in that, though. That's why it's kind of hard to judge. Yeah. But at the same time, it does not help that they're in the AFC West. That's my whole thing of kind of holding them back. I just think they're a very similar tier team off rip to the Raiders, just because the Raiders, I think, bringing back Antonio Pierce, the chemistry is going to be there. And then I think the Chargers are going to have to figure that out. I think they are the more talented team, but it's going to be some growing pains there. Obviously, I think if we're having this conversation this time next year, you have to put the Chargers in the conversation. But for this year, I don't think you necessarily have to. Like, I would probably take the Steelers by a slight edge over the Chargers.
I mean, I would go.
Well, like I'd take the Browns over the Chargers even.
I'm curious to see how Jim works with Justin Herbert throughout the year.
That's the X factor to me, Mike, is like
if he figures that out year one,
that type of talent that like he could overcome. Like Justin Herbert can just throw you to the playoffs probably, but I don't know. That roster isn't. I
said the weapons like is the only issue with that. You can have Justin Herbert, but the weapons
secondary, man, it's not great.
They lost a top 10 wide receiver in the NFL and then a top 15 to 20 wide receiver in the NFL. They're running back, like they lost a lot offensively.
And J.K. Dobbins and Gus Edwards, man. That's the Gus bust. That's someone you're a fan of the Gus bust, Lucas.
I am, but not when you're like Gus is nice when like you're not trying to keep up with the Kansas City Chiefs.
I will say they will be like to Adam's point, like there has to be a conversation. I think you can argue that they're going to be in that conversation come week 17, 18. Wild card, when you see the graphic pulled up, Chargers are in the wild card race. I don't think that's crazy to say that Jim could get them. You know what I mean? Like that yeah, they might not have the pieces, but a guy like Jim Harbaugh, if you think he's as good as he is, Jeff, if he's one of the best in the world at his position, he's going to have, whether it's a great team or a bad team, he's going to find a way to put them in that conversation. Like, it's the same thing with Mike Tomlin. You could say, like, every year, like, there's years where Mike Tomlin, like, dude, they have nothing. But guess what? They always find a way to end up going over 500, and they're in the wild card conversation every year. So, like, with these guys, like, they still have Joey Bosa, they still have Khalil Mack, they still have players. That it's the coach. Like, can the coach put the other guys around him to succeed? Mike Tomlin knows how to do it with the Steelers, with TJ Watt and some of those guys. I think Jim could be that guy to where it's like you're looking at it. Hey, they're 8-9 going into the last game, and if they win this game and this team loses, they can end up sliding into that 7 seed.
Yeah, it's just, can Joey Bosa, can he play more than 11 games?
That's fair
games?
too. Yeah, I
And
think that's fair as well.
Mac give me 17 sacks like last year. I mean, that dude balled. I had 6 sacks in a game. I have to
Justin Herbert one of those guys?
Absolutely. That's why it's hard for me, because I love Jim. I love Justin Herbert. But then it's like, damn, to Lucas, kind of what he was saying earlier, it's like there's some other teams I'd probably put over the Chargers. But if you want to say Chargers will be in that equation and they should be in the conversation, I don't hate it. I'm not going to.
I think they're on like the Bills tier. I think you could, because they're going to be an 8-win team. Generous 9, ugly 7. You know, like, I mean, they're very comparable. Weak ass wide receiver core, great quarterbacks, mid ass O lines. Defenses.
Yeah. Do you think the Bills are making it over the Steelers?
I think the Bills are going to be in the playoffs, man. It's kind of crazy to think that they're not.
Are they winning the division, or are they making the playoffs?
I think they win the division. I'm going to say they win the division still.
Oh.
But if they don't, I still like they're still going to be a wild card team, dude. Like, what are we talking about here? It's the thing when you have Josh Allen, you have one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. You're staying, like, that's the thing.
Oh, yeah. I mean, sure.
Matthew Stafford, Lions.
It's weird. Did they never make the playoffs with?
It's weird
with Matthew Stafford.
I mean, they weren't winning divisions. I'll tell you that much.
But did they make the playoffs too, though?
I think they did twice, and they got smoked both times.
Josh Allen won't. Like, no, Josh Allen's different.
3 times, actually. 3 times.
He's different. He is different. He actually throws more interceptions than any other elite quarterback. That's why
still wins games.
Okay.
All right, Adam. Bet me that 6.5. I'll take the over. You take the under. Bet me. Over under 6.5.
Booner fiending.
I love this. All right. Speaking of the Lions, I mean, the Lions were the 1 seed in the NFC graphic. Yeah, the Lions are getting bet on, receiving 26.9% of the bets to win the NFC. To win the NFC. A lot of people are putting money on them. Would you guys know what their odds are at right now?
I'm checking.
Because I'm curious. Just a sprinkle, a little salt-based sprinkle a couple dollars on it. I don't hate it.
And then I wanted to know
too, like, in the NFC, they're plus 600.
Wow.
Love it.
What's the 49ers?
Plus 250.
Hate it.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
and
value.
The Eagles are plus 650 with the Cowboys at plus 650. The Packers are plus 850, and then the Falcons are plus 1,100. And then Etienne's Rams and our Rams, Jeff, are at plus 1,400.
They're giving Lucas the nod.
There you go, Klotzy. How about that, Klotzy? Hey, give yourself a pat on the back over there, brother.
Do you want me to read the AFC?
Pat yourself on the back over there, brother.
It's like smile for team photos.
Come on, Klotzy. Hey, give me one. This is for me. Give me one. Come on.
No,
come on, Klotzy.
Nope. You went at my Colts, and I stayed quiet about your Bills.
Hey, I didn't go at them. I said I still think they compete for the division.
No,
come
on. You acted like I was talking crazy. You knew where I stood about those Colts.
Klotzy. When you say they could beat any team, and I didn't hear you say that just in the wild card weekend, I thought you meant contending for the Super Bowl.
No.
I have to say something. And guess what it did? It helped us clarify it, didn't it? We clarified it a little bit. Now we understand. That's all. Hey, real quick too. Want to throw this out there. The ESPN bet people that put that graphic out to the Lions, or what is it? What was it? 26? 20,
yep.
What,
26.9%.
The 49ers only have like 2% of the bets put on them. So the Lions have the most in the whole NFC of the public on the Lions. Yeah, maybe you don't want to bet with the public, but you're looking at value there, plus 600. A lot of people think the Lions have a chance to actually win this division. And that's why, like, when you look at it, guys, it might be their year. It is their year, and it will be their year.
The value at plus 600 it's definitely there because them and the 49ers are head-to-head. So for the 49ers to be plus 250, that's not great value at all. So, I mean, people not betting on them, I could see it. Like, if the 49ers have a bad stretch throughout the season, they'll be worse than plus 250. Like,
and by the way, too, Adam said ESPN Bet is the worst app of ever. Saying it is terrible. I haven't used it ever. I do when they converted it and did whatever they did to it. I just stopped using it. I was like, I'm done with this thing. I haven't used it in like months.
So
brutal app.
It's actually funny story here. I don't know if you guys saw it today. Did you guys see that guy in OKC, the Thunder fan, who bet $100 on the Thunder to make the NBA Finals, and he cashed out?
Oh yeah, he bet like 3 bets, didn't he?
I don't know, whatever it was.
He had like the Rangers to win the World Series. He had the Chiefs to win the Super Bowl.
The Thunder one, he was up like $80K.
Yeah.
Because
cashing out
before the season, they were like wild odds. I mean, it was probably wild for the Thunder, and he put like some money on it. And I think it was to win $1 million. It was to win like a lot of money, but he's like, I'm walking out with like 80 G's, and he just took it. Which that's what I would. I don't know if I would let that one run. I don't know where you guys are with that. I don't know how you would do it.
Well, weren't they tied 2-2?
Take the 80 G's, or I think it's a close series.
They're down 3-2.
So now they're down. So when he cashed that out, it was Wednesday.
It was 2-2.
They played, so the series was tied, and then they ended up losing that game. So his cash out would have went way down. So it's probably better that he did do that.
So I remember what he said. So I watched the video of him. He said they were down 2-1, and his cash out I think went down to like 18,000 or something. And then he said he was like, I told someone if they win tonight and they tie the series 2-2 and it's over 60,000, I'm cashing out, or 80,000, I'm cashing out. And they ended up winning it, tying it 2-2. And then they ended up he was like, I cashed out, which is smart. He was like, I have a family. He was like, I have kids.
I'm cashed
out. It was like, this could help.
Jeez. I mean, I guess unless you're like, fuck, it's $100 or whatever it was. And you're like, I'll split it.
They have to play the Nuggets the next round. Like, come on.
That's why it's like
80K, dude.
Finals. No.
I think it was like $100 bet too or something. It was nothing crazy.
That'll be me with my Colts bet this year.
Yeah, sprinkle a little bit on them when
you might as well bet for the Colts to win the division and parlay it with the Falcons to win the division and the Lions to win the division.
That's a good one, Boone. You're thinking, Boone.
I'm just over here. I know your narratives over here, Klotzy. Don't worry. They're all in my head.
Hey, PFF graded every team's offseason, and they included the Detroit Lions. They gave them a grade for what they did so far, draft, free agency, everything included. We'll go through a couple teams here in the NFC and kind of show what PFF thought about their offseason, what the grades they were given. Just to look, the Falcons got a C-. They were huge fans of. They even mentioned our guy Clark Phillips III. Who struggled a little bit, but hey. He got a little mention, but they mentioned the Darnell Mooney, Rondale Moore. They gave the Falcons a C-. The Cardinals got a B+. We'll keep going.
Not
your Bills, your Bills got a C+. Look at that. A little C+ for the Bills. Let's see. Let's keep going. So the Panthers got a C+. The Bears got an A.
Can we guess our grade for the Lions?
Sure.
I already know it, so I'm not going to guess.
It's going to be a B+.
I'm going to say this is PFF. Correct?
Jeff?
Yes.
I'm going to say B- then. B- then.
I said B+.
B+.
I'll say A-.
You already
Jeff,
know.
didn't you already see it?
No, I actually didn't. I'm not going to lie to you.
I did send it to you, so I can't.
That's horseshit, Jeff. You're lying.
What did you say, Jeff?
I'll say A-. I'll go one up for Mike. Just
can I give one?
No, you can't. No, I'm just kidding. Did you see it?
Yeah, I sent it to you. I mean, dude, I'm 90% sure you saw the grade because I sent it to you and said, "This is the Lions grade. Let's do this."
I just show the grade. Jesus.
Watch it, BB minus now. Now I look like a liar.
Oh, Bengals. Oh, it was slow. Whoa. Missing a lot.
Oh, A+.
Oh my God.
It's even higher than I thought.
There we go, guys.
Booner, even if you didn't see it, you probably would have said A+. You probably would have. You probably would have said it.
If it was any lower than an A+, I probably would not have sent it to you.
Well, they write it was a stellar offseason for the Lions as they made major additions with minimal subtractions. They no longer have C.J. Gardner-Johnson or Jonah Jackson, but they brought in DJ Reader, Carlton Davis, Marcus Davenport, and Kevin Zeitler in free agency. Then they drafted Terrion Arnold, Ennis Rakestraw Jr., Gio Manu, Sione Vaki, Mekhi Wingo, and Christian Mahogany. They nailed it. Plus, they re-signed Jared Goff, Amon-Ra St. Brown, and Penei Sewell. Their Super Bowl window is open. Then they gave the Packers a B. So, hey.
Beautiful day to be a Detroit Lion. And look at the 49ers, too. What's the 49ers? Because this is the article, and I kind of went through this article, and then I kind of I was trying to figure out when I'm doing my NFC thing here, and I read both of these, and I go, you know what?
Eagles got an A.
Oh, as they should have. That secondary got absolutely boosted up.
Yeah,
absolutely
C+
boosted
for the 49ers.
This fits Boone's narrative.
Yeah,
it's weird.
It's weird. His eyes got so wide.
This is a weird thing, how sometimes the world just aligns for you.
Yeah,
the stars align.
Well, this line.
Oh, yeah, that's
the line. The line at the end there says, "Doesn't feel like San Francisco got better this offseason." Whenever you say it doesn't feel, whenever you feel something, it's usually a red flag anyway. So
not really.
No, because feelings are.
That made no sense. Besides that, you're trying to fit your narrative.
No. Feelings are
that statement made no sense.
I think Leonard Floyd is better than Chase Young.
I just think they had a good offseason. Like, they didn't have anything drastic, but they were already a really good team, and they got better. And I think they were at the top of the NFC last year. Not to mention, I know it's not considered the offseason, but all the players are coming back off injury. I think it's going to make a huge difference.
Ultimately, I think their O-line 49ers needs better offensive line play.
Yeah, their O-line, that's fair. I didn't know. See, I didn't bring that up because that is the offensive line is not the Lions. Yes,
I mean, Jeff, we talk all the time, and we feel a lot of things talking sports here on our show. So I don't think that means that they aren't all the way. I just think us saying, all right, when we had the conversation earlier in the show here, you said there wasn't much of a gap between the 49ers and the Detroit Lions during the NFC Championship game, right? So let's say that's like just a little bit here. One team, the 49ers did do a little bit, but like how much better did they really get this offseason? They lost a handful of guys and they brought in a handful of guys. Whether like they upgraded some of those, you can go right here. The Detroit Lions came into the offseason and said, we need to take care of these needs in free agency, and we need to draft these players. They went out there and got one of the best defensive players in the draft to address a massive, massive need in your DB room, and they did that. They didn't just do it once, but they got Ennis Rakestraw, who could end up being a guy that makes impact this year. And then they also, guess what? They added another guard there with Kevin Zeitler. That's probably, you could argue, is going to do better than Jonah Jackson if he stays healthy, because he's been a guy that's been healthy outside of Jonah, right? And then also on the defensive line, you added DJ Reader. You add some defensive edges. I know you wanted more, but like, all right, here it was in the NFC Championship game. What team got better in the offseason and made better moves? The Detroit Lions. That's why I put them above them in the 49ers in my rankings. And that's where, like, when you break it down and really look at it, the Niners didn't sit there and drastically get that much better this offseason. The Detroit Lions did. The Detroit Lions fixed the holes that they had. Well, what's been my motto all offseason long? Klotzy?
Fill the holes.
Fill the holes. What do the Detroit Lions do?
Fill the
holes. What do they do? And what do the 49ers do? The 49ers,
they didn't stuff those holes, Booner.
No, they didn't stuff them.
The Lions, I'm saying.
They created holes because they lost guys. They patched the holes, and then they didn't fill they didn't upgrade their offensive line at all.
See, that's where I disagree. I don't think they created more holes from this. I don't think they got weaker in any way, shape, or form.
Well, no, I don't think they created them. I'm just saying when the guys leave, like Chase Young and Armstead, like then those are holes that make, and you have to patch them up. They had to patch some holes up.
Let me ask you, Boone. You're on the stand.
I'm on the stand.
They're just playing. This is just an exercise. This is where I'm coming from. Okay, let's go positions. We'll go offensive line. What would you think? Lions, right?
Detroit Lions.
Yep.
Yes.
Defensive line.
49ers. Yes.
No, okay. Dude, it's the Lions or the 49ers.
It's the 49ers. It's just, to me, it's just like now that you have DJ Reader and Lee McNeil and Aiden Hutchinson, you're just missing that fourth piece to where I think in a year or two, you could almost say, hey, the Lions, like when they all come together and you add a fourth edge rusher, on like that's
so
close. I think it's a little closer than we think.
Javon Hargraves, Leonard Floyd, and Nick Bosa. I'm sorry.
I'm with you on that. I'm with you.
We'll go. So offensive line, defensive line, about 1-1, right? Okay, let's stay on offense.
I don't like this exercise. I don't like going one for one position. I think it's who like if you play today, who do you think wins?
Well, this kind of it matters.
Lions
right?
were up 17 with the 25th defense. They just added all of they filled all of those.
See both sides here.
That's why I don't hate. That's why I said it's close.
Like
but
the one-on-one thing, okay. All we're doing right now, we're not saying who's the better team and who's going to win. We're just going through who has the better. No. Narrative, Iafrate. All you're doing right now is who has the better roster. That doesn't just because if you have a better roster doesn't.
Well, hold on. I was getting to another part of it. Hold on, I wasn't done. Hold on. Ready?
All right.
Quarterback.
Detroit Lions.
But you'd say it's pretty close, right?
Detroit Lions.
Okay. Wide receiver core. Weapons, actually.
Weapons?
We can, because we have to factor in tight end too. We'll do that. I would say 49ers.
Doesn't make the Lions bad.
No, it doesn't mean it's bad.
I'm trying to think here. Can you guys let me think for a second?
Do 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 do. Come on.
I think the 49ers have 4 good weapons, and I think the Detroit Lions have 4 good weapons as well.
Booner. But depth wise, then you start going depth.
Total, like,
Jawan Jennings,
Miracle.
Jamison Williams. Give me Jamison Williams.
No,
Jawan Jennings. Whoa. Did Brandon Ayuk and Deebo Samuel just die?
No, those two. Wait, no. Time out. You said weapons. This was my 4. I went Brandon Ayuk, Deebo Samuel, George Kittle, and Christian McCaffrey. No, take Ricky. I'm talking about top 4. I'm talking about top 4 on each team. That's 4, right? Like those are the elite guys, right? And then I went Jahmyr Gibbs, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Sam Laporta, and David Montgomery. They each have 4 there. They each have 4 there. We have 2 elite running backs. We have 2 elite running backs.
Did you put T-Mac in for the other ones?
Yes.
Hold on. Well, okay, hold on. So
that's
wide
4-4 right there.
Okay,
he tried. He's holding on for dear life on this one.
So
no.
Let's go for the next one.
So what about linebacker core?
49ers. Healthy. Yeah.
Safety room.
This is tough.
I'm
gonna say Lions on this one. Like I think
Brian Branch is a safety. Brian Branch there.
Yeah, I would lean Lions because even though they got Tufonga, which he's probably the best player, but I think the Lions have probably more depth. They have better players and more depth. So, how about secondary? Let's do corner.
I took my headphones off and you said a question.
I would say the Lions at this point.
Secondary will give the Lions.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Weird to say, but yes.
So we have the 49ers. They have the better defensive line. They have the better linebacker core. They have the better weapons. We'll just do those 3. And then the Lions have the better O-line, better quarterback, and better secondary.
So 3.
And a lot of those are close. See, it's very close. Very close.
And who made more moves this offseason to upgrade?
Hold on. No. That's after moves, by the way. But here's the kicker. I'm putting you on the spot. Better head coach. I'm going Kyle Shanahan.
I will say this. Kyle Shanahan, the thing with Kyle Shanahan is the thing that he has and it's easy to say he's a better coach because he's the one that calls the plays and he's the offensive mind in that building. That's where I think you have to say Kyle Shanahan. But if we're talking about building a culture, being a head
coach.
It's Kyle Shanahan.
I'm trying to twist it like you're starting a team.
Jeff,
it's called
Kyle Shanahan.
Whatever the hell it is. And you can take one coach.
Hey, I just want the chat to know. I want the chat to know. Did you guys not hear me just say it's Kyle Shanahan? but then I have an explanation for it. I said it's Kyle Shanahan about 4 times.
4 times? Okay, damn. Okay, all right.
I mean, weird. Is my mic off? Is my mic not working tonight?
The reason why I did this exercise is we compared all the roster
coaching staffs in general. Detroit Lions.
Okay. All right. So here's the reason why we did this exercise is because we compared every level, every part of each team. It's very close. We had it 3-3 comparing like who won what position group. But then we get to head coach, and I would give it right now to the 49ers. That's why I give. You see why now I would give them the odd. Does that make sense? Or it doesn't fit your narrative?
No, I think it's again, Jeff.
Come on,
I think your
that's
argument.
why I'm leaning that way. I'm just
Jeffrey,
leaning that way.
I think your argument is good. Like I think it's a good argument because it's so close. But again, when it's that close, I think you can say it can go either way at that point. And that's right. To me, I lean towards the Lions because just overall coaching staff, everything with Ben Johnson and Dan Campbell. Like, let's be like a spade here. Kyle Shanahan's really, really good because he's an offensive-minded head coach and he calls the plays and he does the offense. Let's do Kyle Shanahan versus Dan Campbell and Ben Johnson. Who are you taking? Those two or the one? I'm taking Dan Campbell and Ben Johnson, a duo over Kyle Shanahan because that's just me. That's just me because I like the culture, what they've built, what they've done. I like that. Now, Kyle Shanahan, again, he's the best offensive mind outside of maybe Andy Reid in the NFL right now. But if you're taking the 2 duo, like count that 2 as 1 there, I think that's a pretty good advantage in my eyes. And that's just in my head. But that's just like if you look at it that way.
Yeah, okay. I mean, if you want to factor Ben, I love Ben, but like I was just going head coach. But yes, that's why I'm leaning the 49ers. And you didn't say it was. I'm not going at you. I was just kind of that exercise kind of helped clear. It made it a little more easier to understand because it's close. And then I'm going to give the head coach. I'm going to give it the nod. But even like easy. I don't want to. He's the first one that comes to mind. But there's people that think Brock's better than Jared, which I don't agree with. But people would even give the quarterback nod to the 49ers, which I think is bad. I would not. But there are people that do believe that. I mean, Easy sent us a list. Shout out to him. He sent us a list that had Brock numbered like 2 in the league or something.
We talked about that on the show a couple of weeks ago. It's
yeah, isn't that? It was wild.
You can't respect that list being sent if
no
Brock Purdy's number 2.
No, I agree.
Stats.
I see. Apollo says they can't stop Gibbs, St. Brown, Laporta, or catch JMO. Well, technically, they could not catch JMO in the NFC Championship game. He was
all facts.
Brent says, who has the most grit? It's fair. I mean, well, apparently the 49ers did, technically. I mean, they did win the game. But I get the point, though. Grit, I'm giving it to the Lions. All right? They got more grit. They're biting more kneecaps. They're biting more kneecaps. Let's see. Alan W. says, we upgraded the pass blocking by replacing Jonah Jackson with Zeitler. That is true. Yeah, Jonah Jackson kind of downgraded last year in run blocking or pass blocking. It wasn't great. Anakin asks Mailbag, where did Lucas get that nice Lions flag?
I couldn't even tell you, to be honest. Do not remember. I think it was a gift at some point.
It's just one of those things that's just always in the house. You just
I just found it.
Everyone has one of those. Yeah, it happens. I see Steve Wilds. Shanahan's had many shots with superior talent and couldn't do it.
That's the interesting thing to me with this whole conversation, guys. It's Shanahan has been there a lot. He just can't get the job done.
With whom?
I get that, but again,
his guy Trey Lance.
It's fair.
Again,
fair.
Guys,
that was my guy.
That doesn't know ball. If you're talking about with whom, he does like you just named the roster there, Jeff. Pretty good roster, if you ask me.
No, it is, Booner, but I would say quarterback. We always talk about it. Quarterback matters. Now it doesn't, according to you, because it doesn't fit the narrative, but it does matter. And Jimmy G, he missed that throw to who was that? Juwan in the first time they played in the Super Bowl.
No, Emmanuel Sanders.
That's who it was. Yeah, but like that's always been the problem is quarterback play. And again, we can't really go into blowing leads when.
Again, I'm not saying.
I'm not saying.
Jeff,
I'm just bringing it up.
It's here and here. It's here and here again.
I know.
That's where it's at to me. And it's like, hey, who would you rather have? Who's the better football team? You
yeah,
guys know which
to
way
be
I'm
honest,
going.
Dan is very new in this league too. All right, so Alan W. The comparison between Shanahan and Dan isn't fair because Dan's going to his 4th year over Shanahan's countless years of experience. Yeah, the sample size is not as big with Dan, which is fair. You know,
I think that's perfectly fair. Yeah, it's tough.
I get that. Mike Reed says, "Mailbag, what are the Pistons doing with the 5th pick?" I wish they'd trade it, Mike Reed. If I'm being honest with you, I wish they would package it with another young player and try and acquire proven talent. But if they're not doing that, just pick Dalton Connect. I know he's older, but he could shoot the hell out of the ball. And that's what the Pistons need so bad. I know Berzellis could be an option if you want to go upside, and I get he play alongside Duran. I'm at this point, I'm really between those two players. But we shall see. I'm still in the mindset of trading it, packaging the pick. I would just hate another rookie on this roster, but it's where we're at. So, hey, it is what it is. What else we got? Donkey Kong says, Mailbag, can y'all add Adam to the show so we can sit around and swear and say racist shit? Well, hold on. All right.
Okay.
Hold on, Donkey Kong. All right. The last part will not be happening. But he could sit around and hang. I wish, but he is not allowed to do so. Yeah. Some douchebag with a Ken cut sued him. So, it is what it is. But
whoa, man.
Way back. He's working his way back, and he's going to be better than ever. So, I can't wait for that. Ed O'Neill, Mailbag. I don't get how we match up well with San Francisco, but struggle versus Dallas, and San Francisco blows out Dallas. Can the ball knowers explain that?
I mean, I just think it's one of those things where Dallas was probably the best team at shutting down the Lions' run game this season. And look with Jamison Williams. He had success on the ground. Even like the Lions in the first half were moving the ball in San Francisco with the run. Cowboys kind of gave him troubles. And at the end of the day, I think that's what makes the difference. The Lions ran on everybody all year pretty much except the Cowboys.
Yeah, and to think about this, Dan Quinn, to Klotzy's point, Dan Quinn is great DC as well. And
Steve
in the 40s. Yeah, and in the 49ers, that they had that was like an issue down the stretch for them. So, in the Cowboys, it's just one of those things. You play the Cowboys in Jerry World, there's always a problem there. You're not just bad. You're battling the rev. It's everything. It's everything there.
That guy up north, Mailbag. When did Booner adjust his Kobe picture behind him? I just noticed the backboard is much more level. I asked about it like 2 months ago.
Gotcha. If I'm being honest, I'm not going to move my head right now because if I move my head, you're going to realize that they're still uneven. Like I took time to actually try and adjust them a couple days ago, and they're still uneven. So I couldn't figure it out. I'll do it real quick. See there?
You'll get it one day, Boone.
No, I think actually what's going to happen is I think I'm going to move that, and I'm going to put some shelves and some lion stuff up there. So I'm going to get a new background here soon. So the Kobe thing will be retired in the rafters.
We do have to get the backdrop for my backdrop. I got to get a better backdrop too. Like we got to get everyone taken care of.
I have to just get some shelves and get some lion stuff back there.
Yeah, I got that signed Herman Moore jersey, and I got the Sam Laporta helmet signed. So I got to find a way to.
Forgot you won that.
Rigged.
Yeah, I don't know how to implement that. It was rigged for sure.
Yeah, it was
rigged.
No denying it.
Yeah.
Not corrupt.
No.
Can't be corrupt if you're open about it.
In all seriousness, though, I never win anything. I don't know how you guys are with like raffling stuff.
Tough.
I never win anything.
The only thing I won a bike in first grade. Our elementary did one of those like raffles. Chain broke off on me on the way home. I cried. I wiped out on a hill.
No.
Dad had to come pick me up, throw the bike in the back of the truck, and I'm just crying. One of the worst days of my life.
At my work, I've been working there for 5 years now. They do raffles like every month for like 20 things, like Apple product, like everything. And I've been in every single one of these raffles. I've never won one thing in 5 years, dude. Dude, and you want me to tell you something crazy? Is we had a raffle a couple days ago, literally on Thursday, yesterday. We had a raffle. I had a ticket. The end of my ticket was 213. They called 212 and 214. It went both sides of me. It was unbelievable.
They see it's your ticket, they just put it back in.
Dude, it's unbelievable. And it was like a nice blow-up pool for outside, like an inflatable. I would have been sitting out there all summer long.
I can see Booner just sitting in there, Kool-Aid in hand.
Some Miller Lights or something. I don't know, dude. It's just unbelievable. I would love a Miller Lite sponsorship one day.
I haven't won shit, but my mom actually won a car at the auto show.
Oh, what?
That's pretty fucking wild.
Did she really?
Yeah. It was a GMC Terrain. She actually just got rid of it. but she did win a car. It was fucking wild. She
Damn.
always wins shit.
You know what I used to try and enter? It was years ago, but those, you know how you see like it was like a little container of like M&Ms, and you have to guess how many are in there.
Guess how many? Yeah,
dude, I would always be fucking way off.
I had something wrong with me.
You almost won one time.
No, I never.
I always would count the outside, thinking I was smart, and then I would like act like I could do some math, and I would like multiply it by like a certain amount, sitting there thinking I knew what I was doing.
Alan
and then it would
just Hangover.
Dude.
Table.
I would be like 10,000 M&Ms off somehow.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah, that's just kind of my, that's just kind of my luck. Steve Lehman, mailbag. What's up with these crazy ass ticket prices for the regular season? $300 a piece for nosebleeds. Almost get to the Super Bowl, and all of a sudden, Lions are Taylor Swift. Yeah, Steve, you couldn't have said it any better. You know what?
I did see.
Isn't it a good thing?
They play in Indianapolis, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that game, the tickets were really cheap, so might have to make the trip, boys.
I'm down.
In person.
Go back.
I am down. Yeah.
Go back to Indy.
Yeah, Indy. They treated the Crunch Time crew very well. It was great.
It's a good Indy is a great city. It's a great city for sure.
It's great. Everything's right next to each other. It's awesome. Like we
should have walked around and seen it all.
Yeah,
like me and Lucas did.
All the statue.
I'm strict business, boys. Lucas Oil Stadium.
Strict business.
Lucas Oil Stadium. Starbucks to talk to coaches. Lucas Oil Stadium. Starbucks to go talk to coaches.
Throw Hooters in there.
I do. Is Ed O'Neill in there? He said, "Do your job." I'm building something beautiful with the Booner path here. I was out there networking. Didn't really do a great job, but I worked on it.
ETN's his mailbag. Who's your dark horse MVP candidate?
That's a good question.
Dark horse?
I don't know. Who's yours?
I'm trying to think if you're like dark horse. So are we going to consider that like top 5 guys or like outside of it?
Because I think CJ Stroud isn't dark horse.
Jared Goff.
Can I throw something out there? Can I throw something out there? Throw it out there. See if it lands. We'll see if it lands. There's a man who was top 5 in every quarterback category essentially last season.
I knew he was going to say it.
Took a team to an NFC championship game, and the only bad games and bad stretch of games he had was playing outdoor football games. There's a man this year that plays 14 of his 17 games indoors. I'm not shocked if Jared Goff, and I've said this before, and I've stood on it before a couple months ago. I am not going to be shocked if come week 16, 17, 18, Jared Goff is in the MVP conversation. And if he has a big game week 17 versus the 49ers, Jared Goff will be in Los Angeles at the NFL Awards to accept an MVP trophy and be on the stage there to potentially do that.
Are you going to bet on it, Booner?
I will put a bet on it. Before the season starts, I'll put a bet on it. I don't think it's crazy. He only has 3 outdoor games. He can put numbers up. He has weapons. To your point, Klotzy, Jahmyr Gibbs going to get more passes out of the backfield. He's gonna Jared Goff's stats are going to look really nice. And if he's the number 1 seed in the NFC and he beats the San Francisco 49ers, remember last year, let me remind you guys something real quick. Last year, the MVP conversation, what did it come down to last year? There was one football game, the Baltimore Ravens versus San Francisco 49ers. What quarterback came out on top there and played well? It was Brock Purdy, who is, as we say on this show, we would take Jared Goff over Brock Purdy, correct?
Yes.
So if Jared Goff is better than Brock Purdy, he can go out there and put those numbers up. And week 17, he goes out there and beats Brock Purdy and the 49ers to clinch the number 1 seed. Jared Goff will win an MVP.
But do you agree, Booner, that this was a very down year for MVP?
It was, but
A-Rod hurt, Burrow hurt. Patrick Mahomes, obviously, it was hard to put up production. I agree. Dark horse is a fine case for dark horse, but that's fine. I don't hate it.
Well, that's the point of dark horse. So hey,
I can't be mad at you because it's dark horse.
I will say, Booner, it did land. It did indeed land. All right, I don't hate it. I don't hate it.
Thank you, brother.
I wonder what his odds are.
Speaking I can pull it up for you real quick.
Not that he will, but I'm just curious. What are they doing?
Jared Goff?
Yeah,
it's plus 3,500.
Give it to me. Give it to me.
I don't know if he'll.
I'm
not saying he will because you got to think if he has. Unless the route I gave, this was months ago. if you want the Matt Ryan pathway, he has to not only throw close to 40 TDs, under 10 picks, 5,000 yards, but also Matt Ryan, I think he barely had a 1,000-yard rusher, and they had no one else. So like they also factored in how much he meant to what they were. If Jared has like 2,000-yard backs, like how can you sit there and be like MVP? You know, like I don't know. So that's why I don't think he'll win it. But
I just think, again, and I'll stand on, I think there's a chance that he's going to be in that conversation when it comes down to it. And that Week 17 game, the way the schedule kind of played out, if he's in that conversation come Week 17 and you're playing the other number one team in the NFL, which is the San Francisco 49ers on the road, there's going to be a conversation with that. And if he wins that game, it was just like last year. Anyone?
Gee, no, sorry.
I was trying to look at other dark horses. I'm sorry, Booner.
Jesus. Sorry.
I think, Jordan, if you say Jared Goff, I think, and you guys can obviously push
I know what
back.
you're laughing at over there. It's a good one. I thought I had a nice
Jordan
hair.
Love has to be in that combo.
I thought I had some nice hair.
Yeah, you do. You do.
All right, thank you. Maybe I need to go get a cut to show it off.
Oh, jeez. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Now we're getting ridiculous. Oh, yeah. There goes Adam. Now, Jesus. All right.
Adam has told me a couple things with me. He said, Booner, I think
Hey,
you're a
Booner,
good
do
looking
you want to
guy.
know all the quarterbacks that have better odds than Jared Goff?
Who's that?
Anthony Richardson, Aaron Rodgers,
Wow.
Trevor Lawrence, Tua, Stafford, Brock Purdy, Herbert, Dak, Hurts, Love, Lamar, Joe Burrow, CJ Stroud, Josh Allen, and then you know who number one is. I don't have to say it.
Wait, who was second?
I don't want to repeat his name.
Who was second?
His name will not be said.
It's
Josh Allen.
Josh Allen. All right, thank you.
Josh. Okay, but think about it. If you're, come on, MVP.
If you have an MVP candidate on your football team, you're always going to have a chance to win football games. That's the way that the league works. Why would Vegas have him as the second?
Because
Vegas,
he has to overcome a lot. If he play, if they win 10, 11 games like you think, then yeah, it fits your narrative. Because he has to overcome the absence of any wide receivers.
Who's the favorite to win that division?
Hold on, Boone. Hold on, let Gentry. Hold on.
So, to win the AFC, the Bills are they're third, tied with the Bengals at plus 700. Only in front of them is the Ravens and the Chiefs.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So they have the third best odds to win the AFC.
Can you go to the division as well, their division? Who's favored to win their division? I just want to show how crazy it is.
It's the Bills, but it's not by much. I mean,
but who's favored?
The Bills are plus 160, the Dolphins are plus 185, and the Jets are plus 210.
What are the Lions?
Lions are plus 145, Packers are plus 185.
So essentially plus 145, plus 160. They think that it's almost a similar chance as the Bills to win their division as the Lions. So there we go.
But Booner, now this is where I'll push back.
You guys make me think I'm crazy.
Booner, but this is where I'll push back. I understand that that's what the odds say, but this is before a snap of football has been played. You look at the rosters, you look at the coaching staff, and you look what's going around them. I don't think you can just say, because of the odds, well, the Bills, they have the pretty much the same amount of chance to win the NFC or the AFC East like the Lions do the NFC North. I think there's a lot, I understand that's what the odds say, but their odds are going to look a whole lot different by the end of the year, and you know that more than anybody.
I agree with that. I'm with you on that, but you when I say, hey, they're going to have a chance to win that division still, even with losing the pieces they did, and you guys saying, oh, no, Booner, they're going to finish last in that division. Well, I mean, let's just look at the odds. If they have as bad of a roster as you guys think, and they're still favored to win everything, what are we doing here?
I think they'll be third. They'll be in front of the Patriots for sure. They're not going to be last. They'll be a 7-8 win football team. Then the next year they'll fire Sean McDermott. They'll get either probably the best head coaching candidate, and they'll be right back to a 12-win team. But I don't think there's any way you can look at that roster compared to last year. I think when you look at what the Bills were post-injury is probably what they're going to be for most of this year. After Matt Milano got hurt, I understand they have Matt Milano back this year, but they don't have Tre'Davious White. If you look at that secondary without Tre'Davious White, now factor in Jordan Poyer and Micah Hyde. That's going to make a difference. And when you look at teams in the division, those losses do not help when you have Garrett Wilson and you have Mike Williams, and you look at other receiving cores in that division. It's tough. Like, who's going to be stopping Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle for him? I just don't.
And that's how we'll end it. Perfect segue. All right. We appreciate all of you. We appreciate all of you on a Feel Good Friday for tuning into the program. We'll catch you Monday. Have a great weekend. We'll have content scheduled all throughout the weekend.
All, man. Appreciate
we are one of the hardest working shows in this city, and we will continue to do that. Shout out to Revive Graphics.
Roman, baby.
Roman the GOAT.
We're in the palace he created, essentially. Yeah, Adam and Justin are just going wild right now. But we'll catch you guys on Monday. Have a great weekend.
Situation,
love you guys.
Hey,
like the stream.
Like it.
Like it.
And we'll catch you Monday. Deuces.
All right. Peace.